I'm already messing up. What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Jay Banks. Tuesday, another episode of the PowWow. How you feeling, bro?
Feeling great, man. Feeling great.
I'll get it worked out in a second.
Right.
I realize we're on a 10-second delay, so I'm excited about this episode, bro. Do you realize that this is the third time that we've had Dr. Weeks on the podcast?
I do realize that.
That's fire, dude.
It's amazing.
We've got a good connection with somebody right here in the city that started the whole company. You and your wife were both a doctor and a nurse at what I wanted to give you an introduction, but let's just go for it, bro. What's cracking, man?
Hey.
Dr. Weeks, how you feeling, bro?
Hey, feeling good. Thanks for having me.
I'm excited for you to be here, bro. There's going to be a lot of
Yeah.
questions, man. A lot of people want to know the ins and outs of recreational, how to get medical cards in Kentucky, the difference between Delta 8s and THCs. So hopefully we'll be able to knock it all out here for you.
Yeah, we will. Yeah.
Let's go, dude.
Yes.
All right. Go ahead and ask them some questions real quick, man. I'm gonna get this set up so we can have this done the right way over here.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, man. Great to having you on. I'm so excited. We've had some interesting podcasts and we've done some interesting events. There's so much new things happening at one time in a bunch of different fields that are kind of coming back to this. You'll see vape shops or CBD stores popping up everywhere now. So it's becoming such a regular thing that even we were on vacation not that long ago and my family were just driving around and this specific city had vape stores and smoke shops. I'm like, smoke shop everywhere you looked. We were kind of making a game of it. But I was talking to my cousin. I was like, we pointed so many out. There's more than Starbucks. You know what I mean? So we're at the point where society's like, hey, here it is, and now we're making moves in Kentucky and seeing, because this was obviously out of state, and this was in Florida at the time.
Okay,
but
gotcha.
the thing is now we're in Kentucky, and things are really progressing. So what's the first thing that comes to your mind about the progression that we've seen in the cannabis industry in general?
Lots going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch going on with cannabis. I'd say federally there's stuff going on, state level stuff going on. The state level stuff is crazy because in our country right now, most over the past, let's say 2 to 3 years, there hasn't really been any states that have shifted from illegal to medical or medical to rec. So, but we're at the point now where Ohio is about to go rec, Kentucky's about to go medical, and so you're right, we are in a kind of a hotbed spot for legalization shifting because we're right here in northern Kentucky and Cincinnati.
And is that geography at play, or is that the city thinking forward, or is that just the power of the internet of taking where's the bulk of, you think, the attention on that front to make the shift? People have to make the shift. It has to be decided whether it's politically. The people have to speak up where things start to shift, where their leaders are listening.
Correct.
You know what I mean? So things have to happen, and people have to make the moves.
Yes.
So people make decisions for other people, and things are progressing fast because of the people. So, which is a big part of me. I love how community is driven, and appreciate you. See you soon. We'll let you know what's going on. Yes, absolutely. So people are making these moves. And what do you think of the leaders and how it's progressing at the pace it's going? Because it seems like it's at a rapid pace now.
Moving fast.
Yeah, exactly. So where are you at? Yeah.
So for Kentucky, people in Kentucky who are happy about medical cannabis legalization can thank Governor Beshear, because he's the one that spearheaded this. And it's because the public is definitely in favor of medical cannabis. It's over 60-70% now, because over 50% of Americans are in favor of just cannabis legalization in general. Mm-hmm. But in Kentucky, you could thank him, because he spearheaded it, because he did the executive order, which it's crazy to think about that in Kentucky they did an executive order to legalize medical cannabis. Executive order means public health crisis.
Right.
That means things are at a catastrophe state, and he felt that way because people weren't accessing cannabis for opioid and the opioid epidemic and dealing with cancer, chronic pain. So he did executive order. But crazy enough, that was in January. That it started to be a law in January of 2023. So that's
hey,
why.
patient number one right here.
Patient number
What's
one.
cracking?
That's
Hey.
so cool.
Patient number one.
That is
Here we
seriously
are.
the coolest thing. Yeah.
So here we are.
Right.
Time flies.
Yeah.
We knew it would get closer. We're getting closer.
Right. And I want to clarify something. So January 1st, 2023, it landed on a Sunday, right?
Correct.
And that was the
holiday.
official day that that cannabis that you can actually get the medical
Executive
card
order
in Kentucky.
Yeah.
But every single clinic that had medical cards were closed. It was Sunday, right? They were only going to be open on Monday. So my man, Mr. Weeks here, he's like, let's make history, bro. I'll open up on Sunday for you.
That's so cool.
Yeah, so we opened up on Sunday, and me and Terrace popped in, and shout out Terrace Horton,
Yes,
most
sir.
interesting man in the state of the Commonwealth now. But we were patient number one, patient number two, and it's like a badge of honor, right? Like I'm proud to have the card, but I don't know what to do with it, bro. Like I don't know, like if I got pulled over, you know, and like obviously like it's still just like a DUI. You can't smoke and drive. You can't do things like that. But you know, I live right across the street from the police station, and you know, I don't know if one day they're going to be knocking on my door going, "Hey, we smelled pot coming out of your front door." You know what I mean? So like, do I just give them the paper and then they're like, "Oh, all right, that's cool," because like what you were saying earlier, they haven't implemented it yet where you actually get the medical cards. So right now it's just paperwork, right?
It's the off the executive order, and then they legalized it, like the government did. I guess, yeah, a year ago, after the executive order, like 3 months after the executive order, they said yes, it's law. But you're right, there is no way to get a physical card. There's no like database or system that we can put your information in, and then a card comes out that you could be like, "Hey, here's my card," as a way to show that you're legally using cannabis in Kentucky.
Right.
But that letter, it's supposed to be that you can possess up to 8 ounces of flour. And
That's crazy. 8 ounces of flour, bro.
That was what Bashir wanted, was 8 ounces of flour, 15 grams of concentrate extract. Now, the thing is, though, is you got to get it from somebody, another legal state, that would allow you to buy the cannabis from them.
Right, which Ohio is not.
Which Ohio is not.
Yeah.
And so if somebody had, like, illicit cannabis, like from, like, the legacy market, just getting it the old way, and then they showed the letter, it wouldn't work.
Mm-hmm.
They would have technically, if like it went down to like the nitty gritty of the law, you would want, all right, here's the product I got from Michigan. It's in the
still in the same container.
Same
has
packaging,
to be. Yeah.
And even if you wanted, I got all the receipts in like a folder at my house that I could show you that I bought it from there.
Right.
Which is not that big of a deal to keep receipts, but how many people are really doing that with the card, with this letter? I'm not sure.
Right.
But I call it the early adopters.
Of course,
people just really wanting this to happen. They're willing to get even some, and we haven't had a bunch of people coming to get that letter probably since you came a year and a half ago.
Mm-hmm.
Probably 250 Kentuckians.
Oh, wow.
Not versus Ohio, we're seeing way more than that, you know. But so what's cool though is now there's actually going to be a system that people would be able to get registered in, likely in the fourth quarter of this year or the first quarter of next year, likely by January 1st. In preparation for this, I just went on the Kentucky State Medical Board website.
Mm-hmm.
And they actually have a section at the very top, medical cannabis. You click it, and then they got everything laid out about what I need to do to apply to be registered to recommend people in Kentucky.
Yeah.
And how many hours of education I need to do.
Okay.
So likely. So once that happens, then the executive order will become defunct, and then the physical hard card will take over.
Got you. All right, so
That's interesting. So there are questions people are already asking. Yeah.
Okay.
So we're going to shift the over to our producer today, and going to let you. He's going to say the questions. Terrell,
we got Terrell and Tyrell.
Yes, indeed.
We got squad.
Producing today. What's cracking, fellas? How you feeling, man?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. Glad to be here.
So we have some questions, man. Fucking Blatsky.
Yes.
Let's go.
Hey.
What's his question?
Question from fucking Blatsky is, what about Cincinnati? Any updates for recreational?
Yeah.
That's what everyone's been asking, man. That was the main question that I got when we threw that out there.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and it makes total sense. I mean, we are talking about the community as a whole. Obviously, it's a huge deal for us, but the process is going to be the process. So as Ohio's a little bit ahead, I'm sure leaps and bounds are happening at the same time.
Yep.
You know, because it's happening at the same time, but there are different steps in the process, right?
Correct.
So where's Cincinnati at this time?
Yeah. So Ohio legalized adult use cannabis because they legalized it off of a ballot initiative, meaning you got to hit the pavement, get a bunch of signatures.
Old
Like
Budman style.
250,000 signatures.
Wow.
They got
250,000. Wow.
because you can do 125K and then
You got
submit.
Cleveland and Cincy on that list, bro. 250,000 is easy, and Columbus.
They crushed it. So they
I bet that's a number.
Yeah.
That didn't happen because of the government putting it on the ballot, though. It was ballot initiative, and then 57% of people voted yes for it.
Oh wow.
And so that means adult use cannabis coming to Ohio. Cincinnati is the hottest market of cannabis in Ohio's medical program.
Wow.
Guess what? It's going to be the hottest market for adult use too, because it's the hottest market for medical. Plus, people from Kentucky and Indiana are going to go there a lot.
So
when the question is when,
right.
and so the state, they've been slow rolling, but they haven't accepted provisional licenses, meaning the Department of Commerce, we've accepted your application. We're now going to come out and do an inspection of the space. And then if the inspection of the space looks good, we're going to let you open. And all the Cincinnati places have submitted provisional licenses and got them. So they're just waiting for their
inspections. Okay.
So probably like I'd say the earliest 2 to 4 weeks, the latest September.
Okay. And that's what somebody else see, I got it right here. This is last week's, bro. What I do this week?
Hey, I have a question if you guys...
Go for it, bro.
So, I have a question about this recreational as well. So, do you know anything about how they're going to tax how it goes? Because in Illinois, when they legalize it, they put huge taxes on recreational use. So, how do you...
Yeah, correct.
Do you know anything about that?
Yeah, so at the moment, we're anticipating a 10% sales tax, which is the same as Michigan. And then there'll be plus the municipal tax, which each township or city has like 6 to 8%. So that will be a good number, competitive comparison to California or the Illinois, where it's like could be staggering like 20 to 35% tax sometimes. I was just in California, and in LA they have an LA tax, a state tax, and a third tax. In Illinois, if you buy concentrates like vapes and resins and rosins, because that's a certain it exceeds a certain percentage of THC, the state decided they wanted to tax that higher. So if you like concentrates, you're about to pay a premium. And so that
sounds like something Chicago would do.
So, I mean, people justify it and they say, hey, this is going to help our city and our state. But it's with legalization, it's important to know like where the money's going. And so Ohio like, where would the money go once the taxes come? Illinois, where would the money when the taxes come? Hopefully they're going to good places in Illinois, but yeah, it could be like 30%.
I've seen that too, man. I've seen, where was I at? It was like the price. Maybe I saw it on TV on one of those like high profits. It was one of the like Netflix, one of the first shows that there was like a dispensary in Denver, and they were talking about how hard it was. I think it was called High Profits.
Yeah, that was a good show.
It was really eye opening because it was like, you know, they're doing something for the community that. Obviously, like somebody for me, man, I was against marijuana all my life. I've broken up with girlfriends over it. You know, I've always heard that it was a gateway drug, and not until I got, you know, assaulted and had my eye like messed up where I had to have surgery on it, that one of the doctors was like, if you can find marijuana safely, smoke it this weekend, come in Monday, we'll see where your pressure's at. And after that, I was like, holy cow, bro. Like, it works so well for the pain that I've got in my eye. Like, I've got a scleral buckle wrapped around my eye. So basically like a belt that's sewn in through my eye itself. And then that holds the retina on from the back. But like the drain that your eye has that filters all that water through has too much scar tissue. So the pressure builds really quickly. But the pot helps, bro. It helps immediately, and it gets rid of it, you know. And all the other doctors would say the same thing. They would be like, "Oh, well, you know, you would have to smoke continuously to you know, receive the benefits." But it was almost like every doctor had a script that they were reading, like verbatim, right?
Yeah.
Which is like, this isn't the route you want to go. Try this before you would go down that route, and it sounds so scripted. You know, and I went Louisville, Chicago, Indianapolis, the University of Kentucky. I've been to all these different places for eye surgeries, and it's all been the same exact, like, rebuttal. You don't want to go down that route.
Yeah. Yeah, we hear that a lot.
It's crazy.
The stigma, even though, like, we were talking about earlier, how it seems like there's all these stores popping up, there's still a stigma behind cannabis use. And that, we have to bring that barrier down. I have people every day asking me, they say, Dr. Weeks, when I saw you in the beginning, I just planned to use this a few days a week. Now I take it every day. Mm-hmm. And so now you got me addicted to cannabis. And I say, well, hey, before we met and you were taking traditional route medications, when did you take those and how often? They said, every day.
Yeah.
And I said, all right, well, if you took those every day, what's the difference between you taking cannabis every day?
Are you happier?
Yeah.
Is life good? Are you feeling good? Is symptom control good? Yes, yes, yes. Is your pocketbook drained? No, it's okay. Okay, then so...
And that's a big difference is the price of prescription pills these days, man. It's insane.
Yeah. That's what I was going to say. It was like the price difference and the you know, certain drugs from the pharmaceutical industry are so overpriced because of many reasons that have nothing to do with the making of the drug. There's so much at play.
I mean,
where this is regulated at a much different level. So when people are pricing things out, they're pricing to people around them in their community in the same, you know, economic spot. So where a lot of drugs are like, hey, you need this drug to survive or whatever the case may be, we're going to price it up so you must have insurance. If you don't have insurance, we're going to price gouge you to the point where you may not even be able to continue over a course of time. So like, and that will happen so often, and people complain about getting their drugs a lot. Like it is a huge problem in society. So to see flat out that pricing is so realistic. You know what I mean? Even like if you're getting flour or you're getting some kind of, you know, concentrate, pricing is reasonable and it's consistent, and it's something, it's like almost society is understood that's the price of things, and that there's no gouging happening. And I think that's a big thing about this when you mention that.
Well, I've got a prime example. When we did the eye surgery down in UK, I think I might have talked about this last week on the podcast. Yeah. But I went down there to get the eye surgery, and my eye pressure was too high, so they were worried it was going to damage my eye if they did any surgery. So they gave me a prescription for pills, and I went to go get them filled, and it was $117 a pill. So it was like $350 something for 3 pills.
Yeah, wow.
I called the doctor up. I said, "Hey, can I get the generic prescription?" He said, "That is." And I told him, I was like, I'm not gonna spend $350 to get rid of a headache that I don't have. And that was the only time that I've got the different answer from that doctor that said, "Look, if you can find marijuana safely, smoke it this weekend. Come in Monday. We'll see where your pressure's at." So me and my mom went and picked up some weed, smoked it with her, went in on Monday, and my pressure was at an 8. They were hoping it would be at a 12 with the $350 in pills. It was at a 44 without it.
Gotcha.
So I went below where they were hoping, with spending just a little bit on this instead of 3 pills that would cost me $350. Which obviously, if on the grand scheme of things, like obviously the prescription, that whole conglomerate is just a multi-billion-dollar company, and they wouldn't want somebody like Cannabis that will be able to come out and just recreationally heal you, or not completely heal you, but get you on the path to the same thing with mushrooms. Like people say microdosing is doing very well for which you went on a whole stint, like a retreat, right, for something like that.
Yeah, I've been on a retreat.
I'm glad I remembered that because
a group psychedelic retreat.
So how?
Oh,
yeah. Tell us.
Yeah,
I know.
that's quite an
I
experience.
apologize for everybody watching that we're jumping from psychedelics to marijuana, but this is something that I did want to talk about, and I don't want to forget it.
Yes.
I mean, the thing is like when you think about cannabis, it is a plant, and actually most psychedelics, that classical ones, are plants as well. And so, like, just thinking about like the illegal aspect of all these things we're discussing historically, a lot of them have been plants. So when you look at Schedule I drug, you think of cannabis. Schedule I drug means there's no medicinal value and there's only harm that it could cause to the human.
Right.
So that's cannabis, hemp, before 2018, psilocybin, the ayahuasca, the peyote, all plants. And so here we are today. So they are all connected.
Right.
But so that's why it's easy to flow between them. But
yeah, for sure. And that's part of being the podcast too, is we are going down different, not rabbit holes, but different holes, and we'll come back up to it'll full circle. So like knowing all the dynamics, because people out here have so many questions on so many levels, and then I'm sure it's crossing a lot of people's minds on further, legalization of other drugs, drugs, if you will, but like other substances out there, and shrooms are something that hits everyone differently, and people have like so many different experiences, and they're kind of connected because so many people have such similar experiences, and you may not even know that another person, but they might have an experience just like yours. And when you guys open that conversation, I think that there's a lot of value there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's what it's about with the group doing group psychedelics, is that you have you're all taking one medicine, but there's this common, so you have a common bond.
Right.
So, but everybody's lives are different, but yet sometimes similar. So like with me, like say for instance, with the retreat that I went to, this was like 12 people from all across the country with really different backgrounds, to be honest. I was the only person there that was a physician, that's for sure. And being there, and
that's gotta be pretty cool though.
Yeah, it was awesome because
like being there for research instead of like trying to find yourself.
Well, I was trying to find myself too. Of course, and that's why I went there. I went there to learn about the medicine, but also I wanted to learn about the group. We all have been through a lot in different ways in our lives, from childhood onward, and so, but with the group, like let's say I'm sharing that I have a dissatisfaction. I'm pissed that I worked in the hospital system and I learned all this stuff about big pharma and all these drugs and like how they work in our bodies, to recognize that plants actually are like where
it's the base, it's the root of all. Yeah, literally the root of it.
And so when I'm sharing that with people, that dissatisfaction, and they're all there, well, they might be like, you know what? I'm dissatisfied with my doctor. And now I've got at least some commonality between this doctor that I'm sitting in front of that's saying that they're dissatisfied with their system. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's seeing commonality through just life experiences, you know, and it doesn't matter if doctor or therapist or a lay person or anybody really, like the life experiences. So sharing in a group can be pretty transformational. And so this was a 40-hour group retreat. So you spent 40 hours with the same people.
Right.
So you really like
a full work week, yeah.
And yeah, so but it's other stuff too. It's not just medicine. It's like good eating, breath work, some yoga, some outside sitting by the fire. You know, some fun stuff.
It's like a reset. It sounds like.
Yeah, some getting saged and cleansed and whatnot.
Do you think all that worked?
It worked.
It did?
Yeah, it works. It works.
That's awesome, man. So is that? Do you recommend? Like, I mean,
I recommend it.
Do you? Okay.
Yeah, I recommend group. If the only psychedelic in America that's like free, legal technically, and not throughout all the states, is ketamine, and that was a retreat that I went on, was ketamine retreat. But you could go on a retreat in Oregon and soon in Colorado legally. There are a lot of people, though, that are taking psychedelics in retreats, mostly internationally, in the places where they originated from, like Peru, Mexico, Costa Rica, which you may have been hearing people who are like even celebrities and folks saying, oh, yes, I took ayahuasca, or I took, did psilocybin, or
Right.
mostly the stronger ones, classic psychedelics. But
so you're on a ketamine retreat. Okay.
In Philadelphia, it was part of a course that I took, which was required, actually, not to take medicine. But what we were doing there was actually doing a retreat to learn, but also like one day I would be your sitter and you would take the medicine. And then the next day we would switch.
Okay.
And someone else would take the medicine and you would be their sitter. So you get to learn, if you are up to it, what the medicine feels like, but also
see on the outside what it does. Yeah.
What it does, but then also to be able to facilitate for somebody else to learn how to sit with them and keep them safe through their journey. And so that changed my life, actually, because it changed the path of where I want to go, which is with cannabis and which is with the psychedelic facilitation. It's just early. It's early in the game, and it will happen in these states that we live in now. It'll just be a few years.
Yeah, I love the idea of someone being paired or sitting with them for the entire experience. You know what I mean? Like when you first, I mean, even like any other hallucinated drugs, whatever, outside of shrooms, in general, when someone's with you in those early experiences, it goes a long way because you're learning in a real time, and they can be there to be just a hand. You know what I mean? It's very, very simple. But then they also can be there as like someone that can walk you through it if they're experienced enough and know a little bit. And you might both be new in the situation, but at least you got a partner. You don't want to walk in the woods alone by yourself. You have someone with you. So basically, you know what I mean? We got a crowd out here. It's awesome.
Yeah. Videotaping. Let's go. Native TV. Chelsea Nicolette, man.
Yeah.
She's got a lot of info on here. Terrell, you want to take this over real quick? You want to so Chelsea Nicolette is obviously she's got a lot of info. I don't. Is she a part of it?
I'm not sure.
So Chelsea has been in here. She started on the Facebook. She came over to Instagram. She's actually in the marijuana industry herself, and so she was coming to stop and chime in. She actually knows who you are.
Oh, yeah.
So she's very excited that you're in here.
Yeah, name sounds familiar.
So
people are every day when I go to the office, I answer this question, which is, when is the recreational sales going to start? But what's so interesting is that from my patient standpoint, medical cannabis patients of Ohio, some of them are like nervous about it, right? Because they're like, dude, I got this dispensary that I can pop in. I can do an online order. It's all spacious for the most part. I could get my medicine. I can have the pick of the litter of what I want to get, and I can coast. But what's going to happen soon is everyone 21 and up is going to be in that same store.
Mm-hmm.
And so you see their dilemma. Oh, now am I going to be able to get the same medicine that I got before? Like, is everybody going to take the good stuff, like the high potency flower and the live resin and all the, the high popular companies?
That's where mass production becomes involved.
And then that's when Ohio becomes mass production.
Yeah.
And
I'm here for it, bro. There's a place right there by the Hard Rock Casino called the Ascent, right? It's a beautiful building. They took over one of those big-ass buildings right there by where the old Greyhound bus station used to be.
Basically.
Right? And the whole top half of it's baby blue. It says the Ascent on it. I drove past it like 2 or 3 times. It's like the doors are just locked, but everything's like they're ready to go. So it's just like what you're saying, man. Like they're just waiting for them to get the okay to open the dours.
Yeah, they want it bad.
Is that the closest? I mean, obviously, is there any other ones downtown besides the Ascent?
So, like I think it's Ascend, which is right where you said it's open for medical cannabis sales, but nobody.
Ohio
it's
only.
Dead though. Like it is not busy because they're ready for that adult use, and once it's adult use there. Man, that little area is going to become the spot probably.
Oh, dude,
right?
They're going to get so many people from that Hard Rock Casino walking over there.
That's good, It's good. I think that's a good thing. The other area that's going to be good for Kentucky is going to be Eastgate, because that's just 275.
Okay.
You just loop right up 275, Jungle Gyms, Eastgate.
Dude.
There's 2 dispensaries there, and those are both going to be ready to go too.
That area is one of my favorite areas in the entire tri-state. Like you can get everything. So like for me, like my ink dealer is over there.
Okay,
so when
cool.
I've got to go get ink for the DTG printer, it's right over there in Eastgate.
Oh, gotcha.
So like I plan everything all together. It's like I can go over there, I can go to Jungle Gyms and I can get the stuff that I need. I can go to there's an Aldi's right there that's like a low key.
Yep.
Sam's right there. Michael's to get any art that we need. Like it's all tucked in within this little like 2-mile radius, bro. It's all like right there, and like I'm assuming that Jungle Gym was the first establishment because he's got the brunt of the building. But
that changed everything out there. I think
that dude's incredible, man. That dude is absolutely insane. I love everything that he does, and that the one over not Eastgate, but what's the other one? Fairfield, yeah.
Yeah, I went to residency with the owner's daughter.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're the Bonaminios.
Yeah.
So that's. I have an office that's real. I strategically opened an office in Eastgate to be close to those dispensaries, and so we've gotten used to that area. And it's that Jungle Gyms transformed that whole area there. And
he's got his own exit, bro.
What's crazy is you're good when Kroger's coming after you. And Kroger about to, the Eastgate Mall?
Yeah.
There's that Sears there.
Yeah.
They're going to demolish that, and they're going to build a mega Kroger.
Really?
They already got a mega Kroger in Anderson, and they have a Kroger right there on Eastgate Boulevard, too. So that shows you that they're doing good stuff when Kroger coming after you.
Right, but at the same time, man, like Kroger will never carry the stuff that you can find in Jungle Gyms. Like that is such a dude, it's such a niche. Like if you want to go for anything, if you want to go for Indian food, if you want to go for something like
British food.
Yeah, you can go for like the most like you can even go to a small island. Like they've got like a little section for like small island foods out there too, bro.
Yeah,
so like he's and then the signs out there in the parking lot says and any complaints, call my wife, and then it has his wife's cell phone number on there. It's like absolutely genius, bro. Everything this guy does, it's like I just want to be a part of his like summertime party at his house. Like I can't like his house parties have to be insane.
Oh,
Yeah,
I can only imagine.
The food, I bet you the food is
The
popping.
food, bro.
Oh.
Like I bet you I bet you he's got a pool out back that goes
Yes.
0 to 20 feet. It's got a waterfall in the back with gorillas and the whole like the Amazon sound. He has to have it
built-in
all,
sound
bro.
on it.
Oh,
Yeah.
dude, 100%.
Tiki flames everywhere.
That's what. See, you see it now.
I see it. I'm ready.
We gotta go, man.
Let's go. I mean,
Jungle Gym. Let's go.
Jungle Gym.
Yeah, you gotta
Yeah,
look, man. Look, we're a fan.
We're a fan.
We
we're
bought
all
so much,
fans.
so we throttled the first 2 seasons of the podcast off of the weird stuff that you can buy at Jungle Gyms.
This is true.
Yeah,
This is true.
We even had a spin wheel
Yeah.
that had all of his items on it.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
I was just I just sent a text to say what's up to Matt Waters, and he did one of those challenges in the lab. Huge shout out to Matt Waters, by the way.
Killing it, bro.
Yeah, man, killing it, dude. He's doing so many awesome things. So definitely awesome. He was on Beyond the Stage back in
Saw that
in
July.
June. It was a great time. He's phenomenal. Our next one is in this July 25th. We're gonna have Dan and the Downloads. That's gonna be fun. So come to Madison Live and check it out. You've been on. You got to experience it. That was cool.
Yeah,
What
that
was your thoughts?
Awesome.
Yeah,
it
man.
was really great. It was it Millie Grace?
Millie Oliver, yeah, Millie
Millie
Oliver,
Oliver.
Millie Oliver and the Missing Pieces.
Yeah, they were awesome. It was very intimate there, man, and like I felt like I was sitting in like I had like a little 1-seater booth, or tabletop. I was just sitting there chilling. That's a nice. The bar was open, and then it was nice conversation, bridging between the music and the kind of getting to know the artist more,
Yeah.
which is
Right,
really
and-
awesome. You know, like as we move forward, like people want to know about the musician, not just about the music. You know?
Yeah, they never get a chance to talk. Like when they're on stage, you may get a minute to talk about what the song's about, a breakup, this, and that. But like my goal is to like get off the beaten path, create our own, and then the conversation just facilitates because like I have a guest on there, host.
break
so
that barrier.
Yeah, break that barrier so that they know something. Like Matt Waters had his sister on, and she was hilarious.
That's got to
she
be
was
the best,
part.
dude. Yeah,
It was amazing because she knows all the stuff. All the details, and I was like, I'm just hosting. I'm just facilitating the conversation and fueling the fire a little bit. Like throwing some questions out, some softballs sometimes, and sometimes we jump into aliens. You know what I mean? So it's like, what's gonna happen? So,
Yeah, that's awesome.
we like at some point I'd love to get these musicians' takes on cannabis and how they've implemented in their music. You know what I mean? I've kind of thought about going down that route because a lot of things have happened, in our culture that cannabis has really been the forefront of. Maybe they smoke and they come up with ideas because it puts you in a different headspace.
That's what happened to me, bro.
Same, like exactly the same here. So like that's the thing is that's a big part of the lab. It's a big part of what we do. It's just it isn't the prime focus because we are the humans doing the thing, but like your head goes into a new space and you think differently for that moment. It causes anxiety for people. Some people it's so calm. For me, it's calm. I don't have. I've been through an anxiety portion of time, and I was like, well, the anxiety that I'm feeling, I was like, my world is the exact same when I come out of that. So like, what am I really worried about at the end of the day? Because the future's uncertain, the present's now, and that's where I'm at. And I remember that, and then it didn't. At that point forward, it was all gravy. It was easy because it was just the mental that I put through it, and because I was on antidepressants for a long time. They actually caused a seizure for me. So like I got off that, and cannabis kind of filled in that spot for me personally. And I use very strategically. Am I in a medical sense, if you will, because I'm like smart, like not smart or dumb with it, or if anything, but like I use it for what I want. Hey man, he's doing his thing, man. I'm proud of it, man. It's awesome.
Yeah,
but like that's the thing is for me. I use it how I want to. I'm not gonna see how someone else uses it. Everyone's walk is so different, But my shoes, here I am, and it's effective for me.
Yeah.
And I, regardless of, I like consider myself a disciplined person. Get it done. We've talked about it. Just getting stuff. It's my journey.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's just part of it. It's one aspect. That seizure changed a lot for me. Jay's mentioned the story on it a few times, but like that changed a lot for me. I have a 4-year-old, almost 5-year-old, and I think a lot of it attests because of that situation. And I don't back down from it. I'm here to scream for the mountaintops what works for me because I could connect with someone that I don't even know and change their life. And it's not even about that, but like, if you can, you should.
Yeah.
You do that often too, bro. Like I see that, and like, you know, as a business partner, and as like the things that we do, like I see these kids that come in, you know, and we know they're not buying anything. You know what I mean? Like people come in here and you know that they're just here just for the moment. You know, this is just a blimp in their day. But like the way that you handle yourself, the way that you talk to people, the way that you give people the experience, man, it's really impressive, dude. You know what I mean? And you've got this thing about you, and I see people in here, you know, they're in here. I mean, I guess I don't see it because like if I'm not here, people are like, "Where's Jay?" But I'm in here all day, and people are like, "Where's Andrew?" I'm like, "Fucking 4:15, he'll be here." You know what I mean? Like 4:12, he'll be here. You know, but it's like I love seeing like the transition, the pivot that you've made from music to clothing. And it was seamless, right? Like all you're doing is taking like the knowledge of that you know from the music industry, and then just pivoting it and going, we can do this, we can do that. You know, we can cut this out, we can add this, and it's really interesting because it's an outside perspective, but it's an outside perspective of a real artist. You know what I mean? It's somebody that sees the vision, that sees the 10-year plan. But you know, it's not a different lane of the highway thing. You're just like, you're in the passenger seat, I'm in the driver's seat. So I've got this vision, you've got that vision.
Yeah.
And it's really cool to see that, like,
both my hands are available.
I
right. can take some photos.
But at the end of the day, like the vision always lands on the exact same point, bro. And it's like it's so hard to find in business too. Like, you know, thankfully, like you've got it with your wife, right?
Yeah,
so
sure.
You guys went from being, you know, you were the nurse, she was the doctor, to you guys flipping roles when you guys got the cannabis company, to you're the doctor and she's the nurse. And am I wrong on that?
We're both doctors.
Both doctors. Okay, I apologize.
Doesn't matter. But yeah, flipping roles a lot.
But but that's the thing, is like, you know, you've got that teamwork in there where
Team.
both of you were in the medical, you know, in the hospitality, in the medical industry, and you guys said there's a bigger purpose out here, and you know, I'm obviously seeing everything that goes on with the prescription drugs and the price of everything, that it's getting out of control. And like to me personally, I think the only way to even like to bring that down is to throw the hammer on the insurance companies, because the insurance companies just, I'm sorry, not the insurance companies, because the insurance companies are willing to pay whatever.
They just pay it.
So it's the prescription companies that keep raising the prices, and the insurance companies go, okay, we'll pay $2,600 as long as they've got to pay $300 of it. You know, and it's one of those things where it's like there's got to be a regulation there.
Yeah.
And I think the regulation is cutting out all the bullshit and going back to the root of what makes you healthy, right? Or what brings you back to the root of it all. And you know, to me, bro, like I drank all through like 19, all through, you know, probably 32, 33, 35 maybe. And then I started smoking pot, and everything got clearer. You know what I mean? Like the haze of you know, alcohol makes you just go day to day. You know, but for me, at least for me, the pot, like it really turned me into the person I am today, which is like a bigger visionary of what I want to do.
For sure.
You know what I mean? Like, and that's like there's probably a set time of when that surgery took place, on when that doctor told me try cannabis, and seeing the level of the brand that went from I can do this to I can do this. You know what I mean? Because once that opened, it was like there was I was coloring outside the lines. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. There was something that happened inside my brain that was like there's something bigger that you can do if you just focus. Like it made me focus better than most people say. Oh, she's melting into the couch like the old '80s commercials.
Correct.
You know what I mean? It was that stigma that Remember that commercial?
Stereotyping.
She used to be my best friend, and we used to go and play every day.
Oh.
Now she's just a couch potato or something.
Yeah.
And she's literally it's just a like a 2D version of this lady, this 16-year-old just melted into the couch. She's
those commercials were the scare tactics.
This is your brain. This is your brain on drugs.
Yeah.
Any questions?
Yeah, we were talking about Dare because Tyrell was wearing the Dare hat, and I was like, Dare, that what a term. Yeah. That it's just all these different conversations are they become By the way, thank you for the appreciate you, man.
For sure, bro.
Yeah. But I think the conversations that we're having are important because society doesn't exactly know how to take it. We make jokes about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
That's really what it's coming down to. We're making jokes about it. We're ha-ha, but then they're smoking. You know what I mean? That's literally how it's being framed from my perspective. But, like, every conversation's like, you green, like devil's lettuce, all this stuff. Like, and they're like, yeah. And they're like, well, me too. And then once the person says yes, it's like joke your way into finding your own kind, if you will. And now we're transitioning to like everyone being like, oh, wait, you can get medicinal. That's cool. But there's for a time like you don't know who is going to be the person that's going to be a supporter or the one that's going to tell on you. You know what I mean? And that has been the culture for such a long time. And I think it's really cool to be in the era where we're watching it transition. And
people are opening up and talking about it more.
Yeah,
and that's how we get a lot of folks now coming in. It's like they'll literally be like neighbors of somebody that's doing poorly. All of a sudden they're walking around the neighborhood and they're riding their bike and they're looking unhappy. They say, hey, what happened? How do they do that? Oh, I'm just taking cannabis now. And so this is the slow progress. And once we got still ways to go. There's one thing that a lot of folks don't like is the smell, right?
Sure. For sure. Yeah, I've heard that so many times.
And there's even a genetic, 10% of humans have this genetic defect where when they smell cannabis,
it's a defect. I like that you call it a defect.
It's a defect. It smells really nice. Sucks for them. It smells like a skunk, Right. But that 10%, any cannabis, no matter what it is, it smells like a skunk to them. So there's those people that you hear and they're like, God, it smells like a skunk. And they keep going on, skunk, skunk, skunk. It's because that's all they smell.
Right.
Really, that's all they smell. And so that 10%, that's a lot of folks that just hate the smell. And as we become more public and recreational and adult use, the use is more in the public. And so it's a good thing that we have to also, the really early adopters and the grassroots folks have to also think, as much as it's nice to be able to just consume like freely, that we got to still teeter a bit until we can, because not everybody loves it.
Right.
So it's like it's etiquette.
Yeah, for sure.
It's cannabis etiquette.
And that's a very good way to put it, bro. Because when I was in Las Vegas, it's recreational out there, right? You can walk around. Well, technically, you're not supposed to like walk on the strip smoking it, but like everybody down there that we talked to, they were like, there's only been one person, quote unquote, one person that was arrested for it. But like when we were down there, Kaylin, she didn't want to smoke on the streets because of the kids, right? Like.
Yeah.
Like you were saying, just being respectful and you don't want to, but bro, after walking 2-3 blocks, Kaylin's like, spark it. You know what I mean? Because there's so many people walking around doing it. It's like this, the whole street smells like it. Yeah. So this is actually a good transition, because this is a question that I've got that I've been wanting to ask you. So if when recreational goes live in Ohio, are you allowed to smoke in smoking sections of like the Bengals Stadium, the Red Stadium? Are you allowed to smoke at the Hard Rock Casino if they've got an outside event, like 311's coming to town, right? Are we allowed to if the concert's outside in the grass, are we allowed to smoke there?
Yeah.
As well as Riverbend, because Riverbend's on the Ohio side of the water.
Yeah, I mean,
let's go.
Yeah. And so this hasn't been addressed.
Please say yes. Please say
It hasn't
yes.
been addressed because this is like there are areas that in bars or in places where they have a smoking section. So it's a smoking cannabis. If it's not been addressed, then that means you can.
So it's up to the discretion of the establishment?
I believe so. And so over time, we need places like that.
Mm-hmm.
I was just out in L.A., like I mentioned earlier. They just now clinched cannabis lounges.
Incredible.
And it's like when I'm sitting there at this cannabis lounge, I'm sitting there, I'm thinking to myself, this is so simple and commonplace.
Yeah.
You got a dispensary. They sell all the cannabis. You then walk like 10 feet. You take an elevator or the steps, and all of a sudden you're in the lounge. And it just looks like a coffee shop or a bar.
Incredible.
It's got TVs playing sports. It's got indoor, outdoor, people hanging out playing like Connect 4 and, Cards Against Humanity and just like reading a book. And you could rent a bong. You could rent a dab rig. You could buy papers. You could even just get it delivered there. And so that is the future. And the governments, local and city, state governments need to figure that out because that could be the answer to this smell issue. It stinks at the park. It stinks on the Las Vegas Strip. Well, let people go there and just use it at a cannabis lounge, and then they'll go there.
Right.
And the next thing people would say though is, oh, then they're going to be all like smoking and driving and stuff. Well, it's the same with the bar. So then people
Tolerance factor.
They walk, they ride their bike, they take Uber, they got tolerance so they can handle more. And so that's probably the real solution is legalize it to where you could go places, designated places to use it, where you wouldn't get in trouble and you wouldn't offend anybody. And so right now, it's an important question. And some places will block it though, and they'll have the ability to do it. Now, would you get in trouble for it if you used it at Riverbend and they didn't want? You couldn't get in trouble because in Ohio, you can possess 2.5 ounces of flower, 15 grams of concentrate extract. So as long as most people going to Riverbend for a show or going to see 311 aren't going to need 2.5 ounces of flower. So 15 grams of extract is 15 1-gram carts. What do you need that for?
Yeah.
And so really you could use it.
They
Could be like, hey, don't do that, or we're going to make you leave. But you wouldn't be able to get in trouble for it. So like that's huge. That's why it needs to be legalized everywhere, because I faced that reality when I was like, wait a second. Nobody can get in trouble for it in Ohio anymore, basically, for personal use.
And
you can't get in trouble.
Well, here's a double-edged sword though. Like if I owned Riverbend, right, I love cannabis. I would not allow it there because it's going to cut into the alcohol sales because of the fact that, if I had a choice between the two, I'm just smoking 2 blunts and I'm good the entire night. You know what I mean? But like the other option is to drink, 3 or 4 or 5, 6, 7 beers, however many beers you can handle at $9 a pop or $12 a pop, or if you're at the Bengals game, $14 a pop.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that like I'm assuming Bengals right away hammer down, not allowed to smoke because it's going to cut into liquor sales.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because if you had the choice between the two, which is crazy to think, because you and I were talking earlier, and you've got marijuana is the one drug that makes you want to be a better person. It makes you feel vulnerable. It makes you want to apologize to the customer service rep that you just cursed out 10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Right? If you cursed out a customer service rep and then took 3 shots, you're not going to be like, oh yeah, I want to call her back and apologize. But it's like one of those things where like marijuana is one of those applications where after you do it, it's on your mind. You're like, damn, I was rude to her and I shouldn't have been. You know what I mean? Like, and it makes you vulnerable. It makes you mortal. It's like one of those things where, you know, it's such a powerful drug in the right aspect, because it makes you vulnerable. It makes you grip onto the steering wheel. Yeah. You know what I mean? It doesn't, like, alcohol is the one that makes you want to do 100 miles an hour on the street with your lights off and scream out the window.
Yeah.
You know,
and alcohol
in the middle of the country.
Right. And alcohol also has the party stigma. So when you drink alcohol,
Cheers.
Right, where cannabis, marijuana is more on, like, they say stoners, they're chilling out. It's a totally different culture. Mm-hmm. So when you have the alcohol being the catalyst of the conversation, you're worried about reckless behavior, reckless driving when people go behind the wheel. You get into emotion of people, like, bringing out the worst in them because their party hits that same register as, like, let's move fast, let's go hard, and then it also leads to fights. People, where rarely do you ever see stoners fighting. Yeah. You don't see people that are smoking out there brawling. You see them passing the blunt. You know what I mean? And that culture is something that I think people are starting to take notice of. You know what I mean? There's 420 events and stuff that is, the peace and love. I think that is the whole dynamic is
absolutely incredible.
Exactly. So it's all inclusive. And I'm really big on inclusiveness, because everyone has a place here. You know what I mean? Where alcohol sometimes separates people. You know what I mean? True. There is an aspect of party. Are you in? Are you out? Kind of a thing. Alcohol pressure.
Oh, you can't handle it.
You can't handle it. You can't handle alcohol. Whatever. But where the cannabis side of things, it's let me introduce you. You don't introduce people to alcohol. Usually they're introduced because, hey, take a swig of this bottle. At 16, 17 years old, like, they're young trying to. And then cannabis kind of comes whenever the first person introduces you to it. So it's like because it's not running rampant everywhere, where anyone can get a bottle from dad's shelf and put it in their bag. To get weed, you have to go through other means and other conversations. True. So there's a dynamic there that I'm sure people are talking about it on on a ideal, like, how is this happening? Why is society getting it? Why does someone get a hold of a gun? How does that happen? But then they're like, oh, this dude took it out of a gun case that his daddy saw put it, and that's how he got it. That's what happens, and that's the easiest way for a teenager to get it. But how do they get a hold of cannabis? You know what I mean? Like, how's that happening? Oh, it's happening within schools. An older brother introduces it to a younger brother, and before you know it, he's spreading it to his friends, and then they call it spreading or whatever. They demonize it, right? True. But if you really look at it as where we're at, I'm 35. Yeah. You know what I mean? I'm there in that ballpark, and the mid. There's like 30s are a different thing than the 20s, where using it a different, cannabis is a different thing. And I didn't even smoke for the longest time. This is like, I had an ex-girlfriend that's like, I'm gonna smoke. If you want to, you can or not. And I was like, I didn't want to. Same with Jay, very similar. I didn't judge people for it, but I didn't love the smell. I lived in a house. I had a band. I did all the band stuff sober, no alcohol, no smoking weed or anything for a very long time, years and years. And then I met with her, and it was a whole thing. And she's like, it'll make you think different. She's like, you're so stressed. She's like, just chill and you'll thrive. And she's like, hit it. I was like, I hit the bowl, and as soon as I hit that bowl for that time, because a couple of times someone presented in high school, but I didn't feel that. Once I realized what the high felt like, the baked, if you will, it was a totally different thing than high school. It was a totally different experience, and I was like, oh, this is not nearly as bad as I was expecting. What? Oh, you know what? I could write. And I started doing music, and it literally went music. My head went music first, and music and I like business at the same time. I kind of like to blend the worlds, but I was like, what can I do here? And so I started kind of writing out and everything, and she's like, there you go, have a good time. And she was just happy that I was stopping complaining, because she was just tired of hearing me complain about it, with the smell, whatever. But I don't smell it as a skunk smell. I smell it. But someone actually mentioned in the comments. I'd like to kind of shift to the comments.
There's a lot of stuff going on.
There's a lot going on.
Chelsea's back again. She We might have to get her and Dr. Weeks on the podcast at the same time because, like, she's obviously done her work, bro. Every single time that we're throwing a question, she's like, "Here's the answer. We got it."
Yeah.
Let me give an update on her background as well. She's not just in the medical marijuana or in the industry. She actually opened her own dispensary and is a licensed medical marijuana employee. And now she works for a national corporate agency. So it's pretty nice there. She also had questions about, she said that the terpenes cause the smell more. So she wants to hear your takes on terpenes and the effects and everything like that. But before we do get into that also, we had Blatsky in here. First and foremost, Blatsky's going to need a 2XL, he says. He says
we got you.
He says he comes in, wears his favorite Smokey the Bear shirt all the time. He even had a story about how he said cannabis helped heal his heart problems as well. Hey. So that's a great story.
That's fire, dude.
Yes, indeed.
I could see that. I could see that too, man. It calms everything down in your body, man. It's a de-stressor.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was just saying. Like it literally de-stressed me out with that whole situation because I mean, the relationship itself had all sorts of problems. But when I was introduced, and I got a dog out of the deal, but like when that was introduced to me, I was like, maybe she's like, this is how I calm my issues. She's like, it works, and she's like, yours are totally different, and you're way more controlled than me. But like this might have a good time. But like we weren't even at that point even together. I just had stopped over just to say hi. But I was like, I was just feeling, when you're in those moments of life, you're just like, all right, like I'm open to something. Let's see. I've done all these other things. At that point, I'm mid-20s. Okay, so like mid-20, 25, right before my birthday. Me and her shared a birthday, so it was around our birthday time. It was a conversation, but it was just an interaction, and we didn't continue dating after really that. But it was just that she's like hit the
important for that.
Yeah, it was on a driveway.
She reintroduced you to it
exactly, and but the closed minded of the time was like you know what. I'm such a high stress person, and then it like kind of focused it in. I was like, that's weird. Why was I fighting this for so incredibly? Hey man, I was like, why was I fighting this for such an incredible long time? And not like to her credit, even she knew. She's like, I know what it feels like, so I know where it's gonna help you, because like whatever, you know what I mean? Yeah. Maybe it's the birthday sharing thing, whatever. But she knew. She's like this. She's like whatever. Take this with you, enjoy it. Go write some music and do your shit. Like I'm doing my thing, but I took it with me. Like, hey, this is actually like opening my using my time in a certain capacity. I was like, this is making me think maybe my time could be better used elsewhere. Let's think on things a little bit more. So I started using it as a thinking tool, kind of. I'd get a certain sober mindset. I'd think of things, and I'd go in that mindset, think of the same things, take notes. I'm a big notes guy on my phone. I'll be real. Like I'm very big on notes. I was showing a friend notes, like, because I really think that organization and just getting stuff put in certain little spots makes it so you don't have to think about it again. Put it there and think about other things. So I just put it in my little basket of notes, if you will. Yep. And so like I started doing that, sober notes versus the high notes. You know what I mean? Like, and I was kind of playing on that, and it was interesting. And I was doing my own social experiment. I tested. I you know what I mean? Like indica versus sativa. I went through that whole process. It's been a minute now. Like I was like 27 years old, but like still, like even then I was just like, this is just how I'm gonna like navigate. So I started writing music. I'd smoke, write music, sober, write music, and I was just kind of just bouncing back and forth because I like discipline. I wrestled in high school, and a teaches you discipline at a young age. So it's just like I'll hold on to things. If things aren't working, if a diet isn't working, I'll just shift to something else. You know what I mean? Like I like blueberries. I think those work for me well. So like, but you learn over time. Yep. With this, I'm a learner in life. I'm experiences. I'm here for it, and that was something that changed my perspective. Yeah. Just like that on a driveway in like Petersburg, Kentucky. Like it was not even like it was in Kentucky actually, of all places, but just was there on a driveway one random night. Moved on quickly, but took a new experience with it because I was like, you know what? I know a buddy. I have tons of buddies. I can get a hold of it. Let's just get a little bit. Yep. And then I just kind of like went from there.
Built on it from
there. And then I started thinking, and then someone introduced me to a cart, a concentrate. And I was like, oh, and they're like, yeah, and there's no smell. And I'm like, oh, same effect. Much shorter amount of time that you get out of it because it's the concentrate. But
pungent.
But the experience is much the same when you understand what the headspace is like. and that's what I kind of took from it, was the headspace that it put me in. But now I'm more on like the indica side. I'm more on the chill side with it. You know what I mean? Like, you know, and I enjoy it more than I enjoy drinking, because I don't really, drinking is more of a social thing for me. Yeah. I'll you know, kind of sit on one through the night, but smoking is a social thing as well. But it's like, let's think about what's going on. Let's talk, guys. Like, you know, we have this powwow here. We like to talk. We love to do, you know, everyone's different journey. So like, that's what the beauty of this is we're open-minded here. You know what I mean? All of us, we do this weekly. So this is, and it's fun. We have a great time, but I think there's value in the conversations, and people,
you guys are crushing it.
You know what I mean? It's awesome. And it's been a great time. So, but I think cannabis is part of the reason this even is existing, because of the bonds that it's also brought.
100%.
I brought some great friends.
It connects people.
Yeah, because they talk in like, and it's not even that undergrad of a society, but it has the little vibe there that you're part of the club sometimes, because your friends are like, hey, do you smoke? Yeah, we smoke. We're 420 friendly. We actually do hats 420. And as soon as they know that we've done a 420 hat, they're in. You know what I mean? Like, just like the Mac Miller conversation. People like to buy here if they hear Mac Miller. It's crazy. I've literally had 3 different sales because we play Mac Miller in the store.
Yeah, I've had some too.
Yeah, and they're like, I want to buy a shirt because of Mac Miller. Much the same.
Like literally that exact same words, awesome. Like at the counter, like I'm buying this because I heard Mac Miller.
Yeah, once it happened twice, and then the third time, I was like, all right, that's a real thing, because Mac Miller has really impacted a lot of people. Yeah, but he smoked as well, like
big time.
Exactly. So like, that's the thing. It's a culture that is indescribable.
Yeah.
And if you know, you know. But the pushback has been so extreme because of, you know, antiquated ways of looking at things, you know, and, you know, for me, I love being forward. I want progression to happen. I like to move forward. I don't have to look a certain way, be a certain thing, doing a certain thing. World's going to move forward. It's going to keep spinning. And so, you know, we were doing the same thing.
Yeah, for sure.
But humans like to resist things for some reason. And that's why we're having this conversation. So I love that you're bringing this.
No doubt.
You know what I mean? Like, because a lot of people are in these chats here, man. We get a lot of comments in chats on occasion on certain things. But this is where the power to the people, because like I said earlier, the pricing model isn't dictated by somebody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, we talk about Bitcoin and we talk about like the forward of different cryptocurrencies on what control the people. This is much the same. Because the people, even though the politicians and the political side of it and the old heads and everything are interfering, whether it's the lumber activists or whatever the case may be, like, people are really the ones starting these vape shops. Yeah. And they're on the ground level getting it to the people, and it's medicinal for so many people. You know, and once you break the stigma of like, oh, you're a bothead sitting on the couch, once you've moved past that conversation, you're in like, well, what can you use it for? Are your knees going out? Do you just need a little oil to go there? Yep. Is that all you need? And all of a sudden now you can get through your day without wincing in pain for maybe 6 hours
because of an ointment.
An ointment.
An ointment. That's it.
You're not inhaling smoke.
Right.
You know what I mean? You're taking an ointment. So like, everyone uses it differently. You know what I mean? So like, I think that conversation is a big one too, because people are like, oh, I can get involved without having to put smoke down my lungs. Like, yeah, that's fine. But it's there for you. Yep. It's available. It's literally tangible that you can get tomorrow, and no one's going to pass any judgment that you walk out of that little CBD store. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I think that's the most amazing part about this conversation, is that we are having it. I think 5 years ago having this conversation.
Right. No, you know what? Like that's, I'm glad you brought that up, bro, because the very first time that we posted the podcast with Dr. Weeks, you said it was 5 years ago. So 5 years ago,
I was just
spitballing. So check this out. Not only was it 5 years ago exactly what you were talking about, but the GM of the levy made us take down the original promotion because it had a marijuana plant on it.
That's right.
Oh, I remember that.
So and so when I made your flyer today, I took that into consideration. Like 5 years ago, like I wasn't even allowed to have a marijuana plant on here. So it's like, you know, I got to make sure that. Yeah. So like we you know, I made it. I used your original like drawing of the cannabis plant, which is super dope, and I hid you behind it, bro. Did you see how cool that was?
That was sick, man.
Yeah, I hid you behind that bitch. Right.
That was good.
But
it's a big connector. I mean, I agree that it could be why they meaning like politically, they don't want to legalize it altogether, because since COVID, I don't know if we all know this, but we're the least connected to humans as we've ever been.
For sure.
Like between social media, COVID, just technology. Like you don't need to go out and do stuff, and so this is
people don't even know how to interact anymore.
They don't know how to interact. So a cannabis lounge is like just an outlet for people to go to even
100%.
talk about it. People are like, "Hey, Dr. Weeks, can we start up a?" It was the best idea I've ever had for elderly. The Cincinnati Senior Cannabis Co-op, and it's just seniors just to meet.
Got to be over 55. Got to love weed. That's it. And then know how to do a backstroke because there's a pool here.
Boom.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
all set. And that doesn't exist.
Right.
And people are like just sitting. They're like going to the store and buying it, and they're going back home in their own silo and doing the legal way, consuming it at the house and whatnot. But it's like, this is what plants do. Is it reminds us we all connected, we all part of the same deal, right? And so
the way that I've always like told people how weed makes me feel, when I'm not on it, I'm very high strung. I'm always working. I'm always building something or trying to figure out how to get to the next level. And a lot of the times, like I feel like my wires are frayed in my brain, right? Like, there's the wax ring around the wire is cut loose, and so there's sparks going. But when I do smoke cannabis, everything kind of ties together, and then everything's back flowing again, where I can actually think and comprehend and slow things down. And I don't like I feel like I've always had ADHD. I've always been in one of those things where like as a kid I probably should have been on Ritalin. I've seen some of the other kids in class being put on Ritalin, which obviously isn't the best thing, but and I've got friends that have ADHD, and it's like, oh, I've got that. Like when you try to do this and you got to do this and you want to do that, but like pot was the one thing for me that if I'm able to smoke it, I'm able to zone in and get this project done. You know what I mean? And then move on to something else. Where if I wasn't, I was here and then I was here and then I was over here, and I would only get an eighth of it done, and then an eighth of it done, and then a fifth of it done, and then go back to this and get that second part done. Where it's like and it was a balancing act that I couldn't figure out, right? But and I don't know, man. I don't want to be like a complete pot advocate, but it has changed everything in my life for the better. It's made me appreciate family more. It's made me appreciate the people around me more. It's made me mortal. We're to the point where like I know that I'm not the shit. You know what I mean? Like, and that anybody can step on you. You could be gone tomorrow, type stuff.
Yeah.
And that's not only that, it helps with the pain, which is the biggest point of the whole thing, man. Like I usually go through twice a year. I go through basically during fall time and springtime. There's like a 45-day window where I can't sleep, bro. I can't sleep. The eye pressure's so bad. Like if you actually looked at my eye, it would stick out because of the eye pressure with the scleral buckle. My eye would actually like kind of protrude out of that orbital bone.
Yeah, you could see it.
Yeah, which is wild, man. And that's not. Sorry, bro. I think I stepped on the cord here, which turned everything off. We'll be all right. But anyways, man. So back to recreational, bro. So when recreational gets pushed through in Ohio,
yes.
As a Kentucky ID, I can go to Ohio and purchase pot.
Yes.
That's incredible. So in what Chelsea was saying, Chelsea Nicolette was saying on Instagram. So she said that if you sell alcohol, then you can't you can't smoke cannabis. Those two can't be combined together, which makes sense, right?
Yeah.
It sucks, but it makes sense.
Yes.
I mean, it doesn't make sense because it's not, it is what it is. It's two different drugs. You just want to keep them separate.
This is just where we're at right now.
For sure. But like I've always thought, man, it'd be incredible to have a restaurant that had like the appetizer menu was like the pot that made you hungry, right?
Yeah.
And then the aperitif, like the dessert, was the stuff that settles your stomach. Because there's, like, I promise you, man, like I'm lactose intolerant, but there is, like, if I smoke after I eat, a lot of the times it settles my stomach, and I don't have that gurgly, like, oh, I'm gonna throw up or shit myself feeling. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the same thing, if I'm not hungry, you can smoke the certain type of weed, and now you're hungry for something, and that's an issue for a lot of people. A lot of people just aren't hungry anymore. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. And that's one thing is, like, people know that they say, oh, cannabis, yes, it helps with pain. Yes, it helps with sleep. Yes, it helps with mood. They probably know the appetite too, but the complex things that cannabis is doing in someone's GI tract are very profound.
right.
And it's the system that cannabis works on is highly involved with the GI tract. Contractility. Interestingly, if people know, like, okay, if I take a probiotic, that's going to be good for my gut health.
Right.
Lactobacillus, yogurt, that sort of thing. What they found is those probiotics are increasing cannabis receptors in your gut.
Really?
That's why then your natural cannabis molecules bind to those sites and reduce pain and smooth things out, create homeostasis. So a probiotic, if you're eating yogurt every day, you're basically boosting up your GI tract's cannabis system.
Homeostasis might be one of my favorite words on the planet because of the movie Biodome, bro.
That's why you laughed.
Oh, dude,
yeah.
like, do you remember Biodome? It's one of the greatest movies ever made, dude. Homeostasis.
Yeah, homeostasis means, like, just creating balance.
Oh yeah.
I think.
No, we're good. I gotta get it figured out. If you want to hop on here, I think this so for people not that are watching right now, we've got technical difficulties. We can't see what's going on the screen or on Instagram, and that has to do with a little converter that I got down here that splits the projected image onto like 3 different TVs, and I think it just went bad, possibly. So,
Hey, I definitely have some questions to open up Dr. Weeks here.
all right, let's go.
So check it out. So you remember how we were talking about Delta 8s and Delta 9s, Delta 10s? If you'd like to run through the differences of the Deltas and partial effects.
Yeah,
and
bro.
the
So glad. I would have been so mad if we forgot to bring that up, because that's something that you and I were talking about. Is like, it's so we've got Terrace, our good buddy Terrace. So he is he was an alcoholic, doesn't drink at all anymore.
Yes.
Now he's just straight cannabis. So proud of that dude, because he's gone from like one side of the world to the other, and now he's got the world at his palms.
Yep.
But so he tried some Delta 8 gummies, and he said, I'll never do them again, because that was the first time that after I took it, I wanted to have a drink. Like it gave him the feeling of I need a drink of alcohol.
Gotcha.
So I don't know, like, and he smokes regularly. He smokes real marijuana. So the Delta 8, Delta 9, Delta 10, HHC, CBD, like there's when you go into one of these like smoke shops now, there's so many different versions, and it's like which one's good for me, right?
Yeah.
Like when I was in Jungle Gyms, there's the drinks now, the seltzers.
Yep.
So you've got like Delta 8s that may have 10 to 15 grams, and then you've got a Delta 9 that only has 5 grams, or you might be able to find one that has 10 grams, but it's like a smaller can or something, or a bigger can.
Yeah, all these like Ds and CBs, and those are all those components that you were mentioning, Delta 8, Delta 9, Delta 10, etc. They're all cannabinoids. And what's crazy about cannabis is that naturally, cannabis, they've discovered it can express 144 cannabinoids. Before, like 6 years ago, the only cannabinoid that anybody ever knew about or consumed was Delta 9 THC. So that's the famous cannabinoid because it creates psychoactive effect. And then the second most common is CBD, CBN, and then you get into these more trace ones like Delta 8, Delta 10. And so when the hemp, so marijuana, cannabis, if somebody buys normal cannabis and they use it and they get typical effects of cannabis, that's Delta 9 THC, chemical structure cannabinoid Delta 9. What's interesting is people call that THC. So what's THCA? You say, I'm using THCA. Or I've had patients say, this Ohio weed, it sucks. It's just THCA. It doesn't have THC. But the raw cannabis flower, before you heat it, it is THCA. That's natural. So when you look at the baggie, the old baggie that we used to get it in, and if we could like have 3D vision and look into see what's inside of it, we would be seeing just Delta 9 THC. And so THCA. Then we would heat it with our flame, we will convert it to THC. So that's the raw cannabinoids. What's happened is the hemp law of 2018, the federal government did a very simple definition of what hemp is. Hemp means it only can have less than 0.3% Delta 9 THC. Because they knew that was the one that created the psychoactive effect in their minds. Anything lower than 0.3% means it's hemp. Greater, cannabis. So folks started figuring out real quickly, hey, this cannabis, normal marijuana, it's not Delta 9 THC, it's THCA. So why don't we try to sell that and like do a loophole because it's not Delta 9 and it doesn't have any Delta 9. This is a crazy one. A seed even has no cannabinoids in it. So now that's legal under the hemp law because it doesn't have any Delta 9 in it. So all these cannabinoids that are coming out are legal under the federal farm hemp bill because they don't have any Delta 9 THC. And so these other cannabinoids, are they safe and are they good? You can find Delta 8 THC in trace amounts naturally occurring in cannabis. So some strain out there has Delta 8 in it naturally. But what they're doing, what companies are, there's not enough of that strain to extract Delta 8 to where we can see it in this amount of stores.
Right.
And so what they've done is they take hemp, which is legal, extract CBD out of it. That's not Delta 9 THC. Then they figured out how chemists, they could convert the the CBD to a variant of THC, which is Delta 8 THC. So they grow hemp, extract CBD, add chemical acid, convert it to Delta 8.
And that's what you're talking about, where the honeycomb, like if people are imagining this, it's the honeycomb like structure where one of the little
one acid just shifting over one OH or one of those hexagonal rings would shift everything. It's all chemistry basically. This federal government, they are coming after that.
Yeah, because this is something new, right? So this is something where basically chemists come in and they extract one little thing from the plant to eliminate the structure of
Delta 9.
of what the cannabis plant is, and so now it's structurally not THC, but when you burn it emulsifies together and then recreates in crude layman's terms, recreates the THC
so
effect.
it basically mimics these other cannabinoids. They still bind to the same type of receptors that your normal THC binds to, even if it does so weakly. And so the only downside about those products is that if you're buying them, you got to get them from a place that you really trust the people that are selling them, because it's not regulated. So like, for instance, most of the time when you're processing cannabis, you're using hydrocarbons. So you're using butane, propane, ethanol, or you could be using CO2. So you really need to know, is my final product having any of that?
Right.
Plus, when you concentrate anything, if you think about concentrating flower of cannabis to oil, you concentrate the THC percentage, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you grew hemp with pesticides that weren't very ideal for the human body, and then you concentrate that into an oil, all of a sudden you've got a really high amount of pesticide potentially in this product that's not being tested.
For sure.
And so that's why you got to get it from at least a place where if you went to that smoke shop, that you feel like they could show you the third-party lab testing. They could show you certificate of analysis. Then if you have that, you can at least... But where we're going, though, is to where eventually... this is my hypothesis.
Yeah,
Once
give it.
natural cannabis is legalized across the board, there won't be as many people using those other products.
For sure. Yeah. I would assume that's just a temporary loophole for people that, this is it's new regulation, like people figured out or somebody figured out how to basically like tamper with the DNA of THC basically, to say, hey, this is legal on the open market until the government, goes in and puts the hammer down on it.
Basically taking advantage of the complexities of cannabis and all these cannabinoids and when people legalized hemp, and when we were all starting and talking in 2018-19, we didn't know about all those cannabinoids.
Right.
We
no,
didn't know.
Not at all.
And the politicians didn't either. And that's why they want to block it. They tried to block it in a recent federal law.
Dude's cruising on that fucking skateboard, bro. Flying through here.
Yo.
I love it. I'm here for it.
Yeah, me too. I'm here for it. Let's go.
It's Look, hey, yep. And you were in here hanging out instead of doing your job, security girl.
Hanging out here instead of doing your job.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah, bro. So, oh man,
that's awesome.
I had a good rebuttal to that too, but the guy on the skateboard threw me off,
exactly,
man.
my friend.
Yeah.
I definitely have another question.
Yeah.
So as far as Andrew mentioned earlier about it more so being an introduction type of situation. So a person who's never smoked before, would you recommend they start with the Delta, CBD, or just full on Delta 9?
Or real THC, right?
Yeah,
like the actual bud itself.
Yeah, I mean, anytime somebody that's new to cannabis, or if I'm meeting them and they're saying, I'm going to try cannabis, I always ask them, like, did you try it before? Because if they have tried it before, there's all this information that you know already. Oh, yeah, I tried it and it did this, or I tried it and it did that, or it didn't do anything. Or I took gummies and I felt nothing.
I mean, it's got to be crazy. That's like somebody like you like theoretically saying, hey, have you drank before? No, I haven't. Well, try some bourbon.
Basically, that's where we're at.
And then see how you feel.
Yeah,
right?
So we know all the information about the products now. So let's say someone says, I haven't used it, I know nothing, I'm open to any of the ways you could take
just
cannabis.
Get rid of my pain.
I just do it.
Yeah.
What we have,
but I don't want to feel high, right?
Don't
like,
feel high.
I'm sure a lot of people probably ask that. Like,
yeah, so
I want to get rid of the pain and be normal.
If a new user said, I'm open to all the effects, but I just don't want it to bog me down.
Hey, that Puerto Rico hat's dope, bro.
I'm from Puerto Rico.
That's tight, man. I love it.
What we can do now, which is nice, is you could pick your flower based off the THC percentage. You know exactly the percentage. So if, say, for instance, somebody's like, I want that lower end, but I want to feel some cannabis still, but I don't want to be like all to the, to the moon, or I don't want to be so impaired that I can't even think.
Right.
Then we could go with like a 15 to 20% THC strain, hybrid, right in the even middle, not too potent, not too weak.
Flying, bro. That dude's cruising.
TikTok.
Yo, so all right,
But if
so
somebody said I don't want the high, I want it to be very smooth for me, then I might say, hey, why don't we do some CBD? We want THC. You gotta have some THC because that's the salt of cannabis.
that's a natural, yeah.
It's like salt when we eat food.
That's the base.
Everybody needs some salt in their food. Everybody needs a different amount. Some people need just a dash. Some
Depends
people
how
want
much you
more.
sweat it out.
If
Yeah,
you
for
put
sure.
too much, it's not that good though. And so everybody's different. I would recommend lower potency flower, maybe some edibles with CBD and THC. CBD blunts the psychoactive effect of THC, so we could use that as a strategy. We didn't really talk about the terpenes much, which is super fascinating.
Actually, there's actually a comment in the Instagram here that was talking about terpenes. We were supposed to touch base
I think
earlier.
it was Chelsea,
Yeah, because I saw it earlier. I was like, that's a good place to actually pivot. So back to the comments. She was asking, because when you were talking about the skunk smell and everything that goes like that,
yes.
the terpenes actually come into play
What's
in that.
the terpenes?
Exactly. So
that's the smell.
Elaborate on that. Thank you.
What's amazing about cannabis, the smell, which we thought, that's a skunky smell, that's actually likely what's driving the medicinal effect of the strain. So, if you got that
the
first...
skunkier it is, the better.
So,
the better.
Right. Talking terpenes...
I mean...
Talking about terpenes, let's say, what are the drug dogs trained to learn to smell? They know something about cannabis smell that when they smell it, boom, they know. That's terpenes. A specific one, though, which is called myrcene. And probably why they picked myrcene is because it's the most common terpene in cannabis. It's
Makes
in
sense.
most cannabis strains.
Yeah.
So they picked myrcene. But when you first tried cannabis, or when you retried it and it kind of opened you up and got you more creative, it was probably a different terpene like pinene, which is a little more focusing or cerebral.
Yeah.
And so we have all these terpenes. Probably the skunky aromatic is also from myrcene. That creates the couch lock effect. That's what people think all cannabis does, though. It's like a skunk, and it creates a couch lock. But now we know, there's 144 cannabinoids, there's over 100 terpenes of cannabis. And so what's cool is getting cannabis flower or a vape and having, most people don't even look at this material. On the back of the jar or the bag, it says THC percent, other cannabinoid percent, terpene profile. You have all the information.
And
there
so
now.
if you know the cannabinoid, like all that stuff, you know it's going to put you on the couch. It's going to put you in a headspace where you're going to want to work.
This is the one that's going to give you munchies. This is one good for autoimmune.
And that's the most amazing thing about pot too is when it comes to beer, it's all the same. It's different taste buds, but it all gets you to the same place. Right, but when it comes to marijuana, some stuff does make you hungry, some stuff does make you sleepy. These are direct responses to what you need. If you can't sleep, this type of marijuana will help you sleep. If you're not hungry, if you're losing weight, this type of pot will make you hungry. You know what I mean? And it's amazing to see that the more that you learn about it and dive into it, the more that you see how complex it is and how that, a little bit of this and a little bit of that will steer you in this direction. And so I love every other week when I get a new batch and it's what's this one going to do? You know what I mean? How's this one going to make me feel?
Right.
And then when you do find one that makes you feel perfect, you're like, this is it. This is
The
this
promised
is
land.
this is my aspirin.
Yeah.
This is my Tylenol.
I
You
know.
know what I mean? Like,
And that's such an interesting dynamic too. I remember a moment when I received like the concentrate, a cart, and the specific strand of it, I was like, the other ones that I had tried, which wasn't a lot at that point. You know, I actually got my first one from the bowling alley of all places. You know, there used to be Monday nights, industry nights, and then people were out there doing their thing and exchanging.
hey player, give me a lane.
Yeah, man, exactly.
Give me a lane on down low.
Right, exactly. And people would throw like money at me or whatever, but like you become friends with all these people that are out there doing the thing, and they would introduce like carts up throughout the place. And
Here's a little bit of Snickle Fritz, bro.
Yeah, rather than people
Check
bringing
it.
bottles, people would bring bottles like we'd have to kick people like 3 people
were
out.
t-
Yeah.
Was I talking about?
Yeah.
I was talking to you earlier about
Yeah,
that, dude. The Monday nights were incredible down
Dude,
there.
it was insane.
Service industry nights.
But that was my first exposure to the concentrate on the carts, and that was early in the game, right? Like in this era that we're in now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, those like super bootleg versions
Yeah, exactly.
were going around.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
I remember a company like Bumblebee or something like that. They were like, but they came and they were the first, like the ones that I saw, like
Oh, yeah, this is
disposable,
Transformers, bro.
disposable one that now disposables are everywhere.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that was interesting. But they had like, they lit up when you hit, like they were getting to that technology.
Yeah.
And I thought it was opening up. Like after the conversation, I was like, oh, wow. And then I would bring it up to someone. They're like, oh, no, I don't smoke. I'm like, well, someone's out there creating a light up, like disposable cannabis pen, and you're not even want to have the conversation. So there's the opposites of the coin happening right now in
Yeah.
society. You just don't
Yeah,
see it.
yeah.
Right? It's happening simultaneously, but it's getting to the middleman, which is the consumer on the ground level, like people just at a bar, restaurant, whatever.
Yeah.
So it was introduced for me there, and I was like, all right, that's fascinating. Like, that exists. But when I discovered that certain strains changed how it felt, I was like, oh, my head goes there. Oh, I'm chilling now, but now I'm like, oh, let's get artsy. And it was like, it was a weird. I was like, that's crazy that something could even shift that way, because I'm very honest with myself, and self-awareness is a big part of my life. So like, I'm like, I know who I am. I've been since like 13 years old. I've kind of figured it out with the music thing and discovered it, and discovered a metal band. I'm like, oh, let's do this, despite what others would say don't do. I did, whatever. But like, being honest with myself, like understanding like that feeling is different than that feeling, and that's different than that feeling. How is that possible?
This
Then
dude's fire, bro. Like every morning, he just sends me a photo naked in the mirror. He's like
Every
fucking.
time.
He's like fucking gonna
Go at that shit.
Gonna kill it today. I'm like, God damn, bro. I don't even have a native shirt on yet. He's just fucking little picture in the mirror, just fucking butt ass naked, just like gonna kill it today. Let's go.
I don't do that, but but
But he would because that's how determined he is.
Bro. Let's make the most of our life. But like at the time, I was like kind of learning about it, because like there's no one really like. Now we have someone like you, man. So like you're able to
most
educate. But at the
people-
time, like
Nobody's
you're-
talking.
Exactly, you're trying to figure out what
No
it is.
one knows.
No one's talking.
There's
It's-
the conversation between you and everybody else isn't had. There's so many misconnections there because people don't know,
They don't know what they don't know. It's literally that.
and they don't know who to ask.
They don't know who to ask. I didn't know who to ask. I wasn't even trying. Like
Police officers don't even know here in Newport.
correct. Because people are
Which-
just people. They're not
No-
gonna.
no,
the only
fault, no
educated.
fault to them.
Well, yeah, but there's no. But when you get down to the science behind things, why is it different? Because like that, my experience is my own. I'm feeling two different experiences when someone is able to offer both things.
Yep.
It's just like a different type of alcohol. You know,
Yeah,
bourbon
so
versus
that's
a
what's so
tequila.
cool about it.
It's
And
much the
that
same.
was the big like flashlight to me. It's like, 'cause if you think about all the cannabis that people have always tried, there's a common factor what's inside of it, which is THC, right? All the marijuana that people have consumed in the vape, in the flower, when we were in our teens or 20s or 30s, it's all just THC. So it can't be THC that's making one more peppy and one more appetite inducing and one more relaxing.
Right.
So there's other factors involved, and that's that terpenes. And so really what's amazing, and it is, I feel it's the promised land, at least when it comes to knowing how to manipulate cannabis. If you could look at a menu and say, all right, based on the information they're giving me, this category is going to be my focusing ones. These are going to be my blissful daytime ones. These are going to be my straight up neutral where I don't even want to be up or down. To these are the ones that are going to zonk me out at the end of the night. Or maybe I don't want to be zonked out. I just want to have a relaxing afternoon, but I don't want to be all peppy.
Right.
And so to be able to pick all those is really the promised land for a person. It takes time. Some people don't figure that out, but I know if you can figure that out, you could really go pretty far. And the companies now put all that information on the products. It's like the idea of THCA. People saying this cannabis is not good cannabis, it's THCA. Just that's regular cannabis. It's just that A threw them off a little bit because that's just the raw cannabinoid THC acid. And then you put the flame to it, that acid drops off and it becomes THC.
So I have a question for you.
That's
Okay.
interesting.
Okay.
Damn.
So I have something to touch up on what everybody was just talking about here. It's a really deep question. So with the differences of THC and how they have, ups and downs, uppy and low, since like the 70s, how marijuana's potency has changed rapidly. You know what I mean? So where is the point where you start calling it an unnatural substance because it's been so genetically modified or biochemically modified? And when it becomes legal nationwide, what do you think the odds are that we won't know if it's a natural substance because of the way it's regulated throughout the government and whatnot?
Yeah, I mean, when you look, so the first time they could test cannabis was in the early 90s, like when they had the equipment that was scientifically
shut it down. Yeah, the old Pineapple Express.
Early 90s, and the pot on average was 12% THC.
That's crazy.
So that's what people were using.
That's crazy.
So now
12% wouldn't do anything to any of us.
But the thing is in the 90s when people took it, they say, or in the 70s, they're like, boy, that stuff rocked me. So
that's because you never had alcohol before.
In the 70s, it probably was like 5 or 8% THC, right? But I bet you there was other factors involved, like the terpenes. There's probably outdoor grown. Probably rich in terpenes.
Right.
Give you a more effect. Don't need all the THC is one variant factor. It's not the only factor, but shifting now though, most flower is 20 to 35% THC.
Oh, give me at 35. I want to be fucking.
That's what everybody.
I want to be dead on the couch.
That's the ones that. The thing is, I can tell you. Seeing a lot of cannabis, going to a lot of grows, trying it, there's a sweet spot. I'll be willing to argue, people, that's about 23 to 23. Let's go with that 23, that Michael Jordan. 23% THC with high terpene percentage.
That's the honey hole right there.
The terpene percentage isn't been talked about much. That's those smells that creates those effects. That skunk. We used to know back in the day that does smells okay. Ooh.
Yeah,
I want that one.
That's brickweed, or this is
terpene,
primo. Yeah,
terpene rich.
So when it, I don't mean to interrupt, but so there's blunt wraps that you can buy at these like smoke shops and stuff that have like a terpene infused.
Pretty interesting.
Filter, right? So you actually like crack the filter, and it's a little glass ball that you crack, and you can, once it cracks, you can feel it crack, and then you can smell it, whether it's blueberry, lemon, banana, whatever it is. So does that enhance if they've got a little terpene ball? I mean, obviously you can't speak for the brain itself, but if they've got a little glass ball of terpene in that filter and that breaks, does that enhance the smoke session?
It would enhance the taste, the smell, and the effect.
So it's putting salt and pepper on your chicken.
And so what's interesting about terpenes, and probably possibly terpenes of cannabis, are also found in other Mother Nature plants. So like myrcene, for instance, it's also found in hops, beer, or some certain types of the piney types I was mentioning for focus. Those are found in pine cones, pine trees. So a person could extract pinene from a pine tree, get the terpenes from it, squirt it into a blunt wrap, botanical
and
terpene,
sell it for $2 more than.
But what they're doing, but what that would do, though, even though it's botanical, it's still the same pharmacologically active molecule, right? So if pinene in cannabis makes you focus, pinene from pine tree that you ingest into your body makes you focus too. So that's where we're at right now, is where there's so like some vapes, they call it distillate vapes.
Yeah.
When they extract the cannabis plant into the final product, they got a bunch of THC on the other end, and they usually lose terpenes in the extraction process, distillation. And so what they'll do is, to save cost usually, or to make it a special floral arrangement taste, they'll take botanical terpenes and add them to that THC distillate. So this is creating flavors using terpenes.
I got it.
So what's nice, though, and what I try to recommend to people is, but the cannabis, it has its own terpenes already. What do you need to put botanical ones into your product? Just use natural ones.
Right.
And so you could get like live resin. If you heard that term, live resin.
Yeah.
They freeze cannabis plant. The moment that the day they harvest, so they snip it or chop it. They cut all the buds off.
They Walt Disney that shit, bro. They just fucking cryogenically freeze the head.
Right. Yeah.
The head
That's
of the
what
plant.
they do. They cryogenically freeze it, and then they take it out and they extract it. And because they cryogenically froze it, it locks in all those terpenes. So that comes into their final product. So old way of extracting, distillation, you get a bunch of THC. You could get 99% THC.
I could see it.
Void of terpenes. Then they're adding
freeze it all right there, so none of it fucking drips out. You know what I mean?
That's the future.
I would call that the Walt Disney, bro.
They
like
call it fresh frozen.
imagine having a strain of weed called Walt Disney.
Oh.
You know what I mean? And it's just every nug is just, it looks like Walt Disney's face.
They cry.
Let's go. That'd be crazy.
Like frozen.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, they call it fresh frozen in the industry. So you go buy get your fresh frozen. You could also process it into rosin, which is where they basically take the fresh frozen flower, but then they dump ice on it and water and wash it in like a big drum with like an oil.
Yeah, like the shit they got at Party Source to cool all the beer down. It's a water vac that just is like a slow funnel.
It's like a washer and dryer, basically. You're washing the cannabis. Is what you're trying to do is, when they freeze it, what they're doing is, when you look at flour, and if you look at it, you say, ooh, this looks frosty.
Joey Cook in the building.
Frost. Shiny. That are crystals. That's the most classic way people would say, this has got a lot of crystals on it.
Yeah.
That actually, scientifically, is called trichomes. It's just a stalk with a bulb at the end. And all of your cannabis medicine is in those stalks and bulbs. And so when they freeze it and then they wash it with that washer and dryer technique, they're just essentially breaking off all those trichome heads and getting rid of plant matter. So what you're getting is essence of the plant.
Yeah, you're getting white rice, bro.
You're getting
after you wash it. That's it.
Basically.
That's it.
So I
getting basmati.
Sorry. So I do
you're
have
good, bro.
A few more questions for you. And I have one that Sauce was talking on. I would just like for you to explain, after I ask this other question, the difference of like live resin, just regular wax, rosin, all the things and the processes. But before that, how do you feel about on tobacco/nicotine use with marijuana, and do you think it downsizes the beneficial effects of marijuana?
Damn, look at him, because I was thinking about asking a Zen question.
Yeah, I was thinking of that too.
Yeah, bro.
You just got to it first. Touche.
Let's go. Let's go,
Get
bro.
it, Turo.
Probably I don't think they offset one another, but the health factors would be offsetting in a way. I don't think the effects are offset. I don't know if there's any enhanced effects off of nicotine and THC, but I'd say that the health, we know how cannabis has health positive benefits, and smoking and nicotine has neutral to net negative health benefits. So there would be an offset.
For sure. We all understand what nicotine does, right? Nicotine is just an addictive additive to whatever you're doing. So, like for Zyn and these companies to like create these products to bump the next generation, right? Because like what we're seeing right now is like this huge influx of cigarettes are out the door. And Zyn is in, right? Like smoking vapes. I think Zyn is the Marlboro when vapes are like the outside competitor. You know what I mean? Like I really feel like Zyn and these little nicotine drops that people have that they can put in.
Yeah, it's a really high nicotine concentration.
It's a high nicotine concentrate, but the William Morris agency, right? Like the people that own Marlboro, they put a ban on all flavored Zyn products, right? And I don't know if you know a lot about this because this is tobacco more than THC, but. So at the moment, William Morris, the company that owns like Marlboro and all the cigarette companies, they put a big cease and desist on Zyn where they can't sell any flavored products. Gotcha. So if you want to sell nicotine pouches, it has to be nicotine pouches. It can't be cinnamon. It can't be coffee. It can't be citrus. But there's other companies that are coming out right now. Like through the back end that are coming up and creating these flavored pouches because William Morris went strategically after Zyn, not the industry in general. They went after one company to try to eliminate this because obviously like Marlboro is in they're hemorrhaging right now. The people that are smoking cigarettes. When's the last time you seen a 19-year-old smoke a cigarette, bro?
It's all those.
Never.
None.
You never see a 19-year-old
No.
smoking a cigarette. So that 19-year-old in 5 years is going to be 24, and in 5 years is going to be 29. Like that boy or girl is never going to pick up a cigarette because they've got something else in their hand.
I mean, I don't think that's even being the promotion on it.
It's not. It's not. It's just.
So.
It's out with the old, in with the new, right?
Technology.
So
changes.
Marlboro's got to do something to say we got to put a stop to this, or else our company's done. So they threw the wrench in the whole shit, and said Zyn got to stop selling all flavor products. So like. You can go into Dayton's like gas stations. You might be able to find a couple flavored Zyns, but like Zyn isn't restocking it. Like they're stocking like traditional flavor. I'm assuming like nothing with
the stuff that
additives.
It's like the gateway. You know what I mean? Like it's an easy transition. It's not even transition. Someone that doesn't have an experience with it, they go something that's the path of least resistance, something that tastes good, and then before you know it, they're in the system. You know what I mean? Like, but like now we're looking at, social media being a big part of how they're even finding out about it. They don't know even what to ask for at the gas station, but they see it somewhere, and then they're like, I'm going to try that. It's
gas station is like
gas station is the place where so many
spot.
It is.
You could get everything there.
Everything.
We always have been able to. You could back in when I was in high school, you could get cigarettes, the blunts. Could get like
basically Delta 8.
You could gamble,
blunt
get lotto.
Yeah,
you could get,
that brings me to something. So
you get like nitrous oxide and stuff like that.
Whatever happened with the like? Do you know what? So the synthetic weed era. So what was that all about? And what is it called? K2?
Yeah, like K2, like spice.
So what was that? It was a little bit before my time. So I never.
It
really
was
got,
like
that's a good question because that was stuff that was being sold at the gas stations as well.
Synthetic THC. That's what K2
is that.
spice.
Is that Delta 8 or is that
No,
something?
that's like that would be like the normal cannabis molecule Delta 9 THC, like made in a lab.
So
Okay.
why did it make people go crazy?
So like,
because it was made in a lab, not just
there we go.
not just extracted
Not full spectrum.
from. Yeah.
So like, that's a great point, because what we've been talking about today is cannabis. If there's a one point that would be cool to make about the science of cannabis, is it's not just one thing. We used to say cannabis is THC. THC is cannabis. But now we know it's all these chemicals. It's CBD, it's the terpenes, it's the color of the plant. So all of that coming in together.
Should we be worried about deltas potentially like that? Will there be like information? You think there'll be information in the future that comes out about like the Delta 8s? I mean, obviously, you got to go to trusted brands, but do you think there might be any scrutiny in the future about Delta 8s and Delta 10s?
I think that if it becomes regulated, there wouldn't be much scrutiny about it, because it will be regulated for the safety part. What it is it's really like showing this is a complicated plant. There's all this stuff. We need to learn more about it.
Yes.
We need to regulate it,
Yes.
make sure it's safe for folks, and let people start trying it and testing out all these different cannabinoids, CBD, CBG, CBN. Just start trying them and seeing, is there one that works better? Maybe it's just the normal THC one. Maybe it's a different one. Maybe it's all of them.
Yeah, and
And so the point, the
it's
question. This is a great
interesting.
question. It's a scientific question, and doctors don't know this.
No.
So like the K2 spice, that's synthetic THC. There's a big pharma drug called dronabinol, Marinol. It's synthetic THC as well. It does the same thing as K2 spice. They would give it to people that are like elderly with like weight loss and losing muscle from HIV or cancer. And they'd say, like, man, these people are going crazy. They're like getting all like hallucinating and having psychosis. And the reason why is because it doesn't. It's not full spectrum. It's just it's like taking a complex puzzle that's like 1,000 pieces, and taking out one piece and giving that to somebody. What is that going to do? Maybe something, but when all the pieces are together, it's all so much more smooth and more like medicinal. And so that's what the K2, I suspect, is. You had this great deal of THC, but you didn't have terpenes, you didn't have minor cannabinoids. They were all working in the background. It's that complicated puzzle that when you just make a isolated synthetic or just isolated in general, it doesn't do as much. And so that's the beauty of the plant itself. We're moving away from just the simplistic way of cannabis is just put seed in your actual soil and your dirt, like that's connected to the roots of the earth, and just let sun grow it.
I mean, I'm in.
Dude, that's-
I'm in the same boat when it comes to like fucking
I feel the same.
Bill Gates meat, right? Like the vegetarian meat. Like, oh yeah, you can eat it and you can be healthy on it and you can do this and that. But it's like, no, bro, it's not. That's not the natural way. Like, I don't. You know what I mean? Like, there's something about this, like, lab grown meat that I'm not cool with. Yeah, okay, it tastes like a cheeseburger, but is it giving me the natural nutrients that the original version did give me? You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of people that, I want to be vegan, I don't want to eat meat, I don't want to kill animals. Like, I understand all of it, bro. I understand from left to right. I get it. But where do I land on the spectrum, right? Like, I love animals. I don't want to kill animals, but meat's good, and meat really like plenishes the body. So where does my scale land? It lands on the 50 or more. I'm willing to kill an animal so I can be healthy.
Yes.
You know what I mean? But it's like when it comes to something like this, it's like if it's synthetic, it's like, oh, okay, well, I can eat it, but am I going to get the nutrients from it? Am I going to have am I just appeasing my own mind and saying that, I'm eating synthetic meat, but like the body's going, motherfucker, I need it, bro. Like, give it to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, in the whole meantime, you're sitting there withering away, going, yeah, this is where I need to be.
Yeah, I mean, we're given a lot of like options now. So like when you're at the store, there's so many different options when you're just in the aisle, like what's organic versus vegan versus, but really like the industries know where they're going. They know where people are picking up items. They know what people are going to follow, what they want. Like organic is huge. Organic it's first thing that comes out of a lot of shoppers' mouths. I've heard it. I've been in retail. I understand. Yep. I understand it. It's always been that way. Is this organic? Like, and regardless of what that means to so many different people, that means more work to some people, and that means it's worth paying for to other people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So this is in that same lane.
It's similar.
You know what I mean? And
people are asking now too. They're asking the same questions. They're saying, "Hey, like, there's all this cannabis now." Like Ohio early on, because everything's public record, they created like their approved nutrients or pesticides that the state allowed, and some company or person like went through every grower in the state and aired it out about which pesticides or nutrients they use, so the public could look and say, all right, I want the ones that say none.
Yeah.
Or living soil. And so you've got your purist folks that are like, I'm going to get that living soil small batch craft flower. Living soil meaning like it's got like
100%, bro. Like you don't you don't want that
natural sugars and
what do they call it? Like antibiotic chicken, where like they were like stuffed with fucking steroids and make it all fucking big and juicy. Hormones. Like you don't want that shit. You want the natural stuff that that God grew off the soil.
Yeah, they're farming so many animals, like the fish farms, and they breed them, and it's an insane. Because there for a while, I was kind of taking a break from fish for some time. When they were like all the like. Documentaries are coming out and being like, hey, this was happening. This is how fish are actually being treated. You don't realize it, but like it's gruesome. It's like, and they're, but I've always been a fan of meat. Like I'm big on protein, athlete early on. So grilled chicken was kind of the move in high school with wrestling and stuff. So I've always been a fan of protein and understanding what it does for us as people and how it affects the body. So I've always been a fan of fish as well. But I took a break from fish for a while. I really did for about 2 years, no fish. But at the end of the day, like now I'm back on the train. I'm here for it. But there for a while, it was just kind of one of those things where I don't need it. Not because the fish are going to stop being killed, whether I eat or not. But at the end of the day, like, you know what? I'm fine with just chicken. I'm not choosing one or the other. It was that kind of a thing, but it was a mental thing for me. I was like, you know what, just take a break for whatever reason, just because I believe in just overall, like whether you kill an animal or you don't kill an animal, whatever happens, it's going to happen regardless. Yeah. You know what I mean? And like knowing that, I was like, my own personal stance for the moment. No one even knows. This is actually the first time I've actually ever spoke on it. But really, it's just with the cannabis thing, like, a lot of times the transition from I don't do it to it's open a door to I'm a regular user, well, I think that happens quickly for a lot of people because they realize the benefit that they get. You know what I mean? And like we sit on whatever side of the fence, whether you eat fish or you don't eat fish. You don't eat meat, you do eat meat. Yeah. You smoke weed or you don't smoke weed. You know what I mean? You drink alcohol or you don't drink alcohol. Are you a smoker of nicotine or not? Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I've maybe completed 5 cigarettes in my entire life. One moment I smoked one in front of a Waffle House. I can tell you one time, you know what I mean? Like I haven't done it that much, but if it's green, count me in. You know what I mean? Like I'm here to, vibe with you, chill, kind of a thing. Like it can be social, but then you can think on it and you can have a powwow amongst friends. You know what I mean? Like there's a bridge there, and when the people are demonizing it, if you know, you know, that's cool. But like I like that conversation is a welcoming conversation because we're not demonizing it. You use it for what you want. Yeah. And that's it's beyond whether it's a culture, a stigma, or just whatever.
Reducing stigma.
Exactly. That's really what we're doing here, having this podcast. Exactly, because we're having the conversation. Like it's not the end of the world, whether you do or you don't. the world will keep turning.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we're just discovering things as humans.
You can try it if you want, because if you have trouble sleeping, if you probably will help.
Yeah.
If you don't, and there's so many ways you can take it now that you didn't have to smoke it, or you didn't have to take drops, or you didn't have to. You could take it all the. I mean, there's some folks, like you mentioned topicals earlier. That can be a huge blessing for somebody that's got like small joint arthritis, like their hand. Like I've seen some musicians. You talk about musicians. Imagine if you play for the symphony, and you're like always like doing like this, like
hands going
numb.
Hands are going numb.
Or you're like got the, violin, and you're doing that over and over, and it's like these are. You can't be all. They may not want to have the psychoactive effect while they're up on the stage, but they could use that topical, and so something for all these different people. And people evolve though. Like they start at being like you said, I kind of like it a little bit. Okay, I kind of actually recognize this should be part of my daily life. Okay, now I want a specific brand. So, okay, now I want a specific mode of extraction, and I want a specific terpene. And so you got all these different folks, and then people, when they come to see me and they hear about, I'll just dump on the people sometimes. I get excited.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there's this and there's that. And they're like, And I'm like, just start trying it and go from there. But and they say, why? Just tell me what to buy. I don't want you telling me about terps and cannabinoids and all these lingo. And I'm like, but imagine the power that you could have if you knew all this stuff.
So that makes me want to ask you. This is switching the tone a little bit.
That's
more
good,
of a thing. So it's a very specific question. So when you're sitting in your chill time, what is your favorite type of marijuana? So going from indoor grown, outdoor grown to sativa, indica hybrid to whether or not it's wax or regular. Yeah. What's your favorite type, and what's your favorite way to do it? And also, what's your best experience you've had that's most memorable to you?
Yeah, I mean, usually the first experience of cannabis always rings a bell, for me. And, interestingly, the first time I tried it was when I was 14 years old. And I remember because I was at my friend Jacoby's house party. His parents were letting us have a little house party. And one of my friends had a big bag of it. And we took a walk around the neighborhood and smoked. And we came back. And all I remember was I was so hungry. And I ate 10 hot dogs with chili cheese on them. That was very memorable. Also, lots of memorable times. Probably most recent memorable time is when you get to go to a party where they infuse the food, and you get to just be yourself amongst everybody and try all the foods.
That's the vibe.
So what's your favorite type then?
Favorite type? It's like I said, being able to manipulate it and know what all the different ways you could get benefit. So it's all right, what's my morning type to get me focused and get me going? Or what's my type that I want to use at night for sleep? And they wouldn't be the same type. Because, for me, I can't tolerate inhalation of flower anymore. It's too irritating. And I can't really tolerate vape pens. Then I'll stick with the raw concentrates and the edibles or tinctures. So raw concentrates live rosin mainly, because I'm trying to move towards more of a solventless extraction method where it's that ice in the water and not butane and propane and ethanol. And so what that means is, because you can't hide your flower in the live rosin, because if your flower doesn't have all those trichomes on it, you couldn't wash it into rosin. You could make some average cannabis flower look like pretty good resin though, and so it's nice. So I prefer the rosin. I'm fortunate that I can afford the rosin. That's
so
just
what
where
is
we're at right
so
now.
like? That's a great transition on pricing. I'd like to kind of dive into that before we go on to the next phase and then wrap up tonight.
Yep.
But the pricing, so live rosin that you wouldn't smoke, because I'm definitely interested in the idea of not smoking through it just because of my transition in current life, and
Yep.
we'll talk a little bit later about that because I'm definitely interested in getting you involved maybe on the stage. Maybe let's
Yeah,
talk
yeah.
that. Yeah, that'd be
Yeah.
great to find a way to worlds. You know,
We're there.
that we loved it
We're
because
getting
I'd
close.
love to be a part of that some way. It'd be great.
Yeah, I think we could collaborate.
Yeah, for sure. I'd love to collab.
Yeah, I was
But
thinking about that earlier.
it's one thing soon too. But yeah, but I want to say like the pricing. So like you said, you're fortunate enough to be able to afford of the live resin. Where is that price point on a typical typical consumer basis? Someone that is not necessarily looking to spend, a heavy portion of their paycheck, but once they get involved and feel at least the opportunity to be involved in the conversation, but doesn't have to smoke it, that can get the effects of what they would get from smoking, but just more oil-based or any other means that doesn't have to be.
Normally roll with the oils is briefly going through the extraction methods. In my opinion, if you want a budget and you're like, I want natural cannabis terpenes. I don't want any botanical terpenes from other Mother Nature sources. I want it to kind of taste like the strain, give me that effect, and it be cost effective. That's going to be your CO2 extracted. So that's just like the air we exhale. We breathe in oxygen, we exhale CO2. They're blasting CO through the flower, and that's just oil on the other end. That's going to be, for like a gram, should be, depending on the state, 1 gram cart would be like $20 to $30 kind of thing.
Okay.
Moving then into that frozen, where they take the plant, cut it, freeze it, then extract it using the normal methods that they do. That's the live resin. That's going to be your next tier up. That's probably like, instead of 20 to 30 to 40. So people say, well, what do I want to spend 30 to 40 for this extra? It's deciding, like, is the CO2 worth the difference versus the resin? And the resin, the benefit of resin is that it has the natural cannabis terpenes. So, like, keeping it all within the plant. So that so then the last one I mentioned, live rosin, that's where they freeze it, but then there's no chemical extraction at all. They're extracting using water and ice and pressure. And so you can see why.
Oh, I'm seeing a lot. I'm taking in.
So you see
here
the
for
price
it.
difference.
Yeah,
So you got your 20 to 30.
But it's affordable for. That's the thing.
20 to 30 for that good, solid, classic extraction method. 30 to 40 for the live resin. 40 to 50 for the live rosin, generally.
So
so the resin, though, because it got that, anytime they freeze it, you're getting more of that cannabis terpenes, more of those cannabinoids, meaning more effect, less use, less irritation of your throat.
And when someone's coming to you for anything, you also like show them how to use as well, right? So like that's another thing I think a lot of people wonder before we wrap up here is that, like, how easy is it to do when you're not going about the traditional method everyone's lighting up? You know what I mean? Like there's a conversation to be had there too. So
a lot of education.
How
do I inhale it? And how does a doctor teach a patient how to inhale?
Right.
Yes.
And
exactly.
so what's cool is that technology now, you may have tried one. Some of the vapes that they sell in these medical cannabis realms, they'll be like buttonless. You put it in your mouth, you start to suck, it vibrates every 1 to 2 seconds. So you know you're getting a hit, and then you can stop based on what you know your dose is. Meaning, like, am I a 1 vibration inhale? Am I a 2 vibration inhale? Am I a 5 vibration inhale? So, done. And so, it's a nice vaping. The goods about it is it's discreet. It is less numbers of inhales, so it's probably could be less irritating actually than the flower because it's more potent. And then now we got all these nice ways to take it where people can truly dose themselves out. If you've ever, people who ever do flower, it's usually like, and it's a joint or it's a bowl.
Right.
And usually you go through the whole thing of it. You do the whole joint or you do the whole bowl. And then you feel this strong effect versus that vape, you could be like 2, set it aside.
Yeah.
1 or 3.
Right.
And so that's why it's nice to have all these options. And we didn't have those options when we both met 5 years ago.
Right.
We were just had flour and the gummies and the chocolates. And now we've got all these other things. And so the vapes is the future. Probably the rosin. It's definitely what's the top before we roll. What's not in Ohio yet, not in Kentucky yet, but in all the other adult use states, like what do people actually like? Like what's the consumer buying? They're buying pre-rolls that are infused with like hash and wax and shatter.
That makes sense because a lot of people don't know how to roll and they don't want to deal with it.
And it's potent.
Yeah.
Pre-made and it's potent.
That's great.
Vape and the rosin. Those are, and with the edibles, what's the most popular now is where they mix this THC with some other cannabinoid. I call them like mixed gummies. CBD and THC, CBG and THC, CBN and THC.
So what? So if I was at a smoke shop, what would be the best gummy that I could pick up? Would it be a Delta 8, Delta 9? Would it be a Delta 10? Would it be one of those that you're talking about with the two combined?
If it was me buying it, because again, I'm not so. I don't know about, unless I really know the company. I don't know what I'm getting into with the Delta 8s and Delta 10s. What I would like to buy is just a straight up CBD gummy that has like CBG in it. Because CBG got that focus, pain relief, good medicinal. Or if it was a lot of people are using it for the sleep, I would use CBD and CBN. They have those at all those stores. You can get that straight, beautiful, pure CBD with one of these other non-THC components. The Delta 8, I'm not as certain about it. I know that it's popular. It just got to be regulated. But the CBD is not regulated either.
Not yet, yeah.
But but because also I live in Ohio, I have access to this legal cannabis that I don't need the Delta 8 because of that reason.
Right.
But I wouldn't mind buying some beautiful, nice grown hemp to get some medicinal CBD out of it.
Okay.
But so like I was over at I like to go to Findlay Market. They got a hemp store there, Cincinnati Hemp Company, and they got a company there that I caught my eye called Wild, WILD. That's a cannabis company. But they're so smart.
I've seen the logo. Yeah.
They lean into the hemp industry too. Both. Why not?
Right.
It's like a smart idea. So I would look at that. I say, all right. So that company's growing CBD, hemp-based CBD. They're infusing a nice drink with another cannabinoid, and it probably tastes good because they're in this industry already, cannabis industry. The millions of people using their gummies and their products probably taste good. I'd probably snag something like that. But
you got my mind running, bro. You got my mind running. So with Dayton, Kentucky being on the forefront of the Kentucky marijuana industry, right? So Kentucky or Dayton, Kentucky, which if people don't know, Dayton, Kentucky is a mile away from Newport, Kentucky. So you got Newport, Bellevue, then Dayton, then Fort Thomas right there. And so we have we've got the mayor, Ben Baker of Dayton, Kentucky, who already passed the cannabis operations that can operate in the city of Dayton, Kentucky, within the restriction areas, and it was passed unanimously. So that's great, and we Dayton, Kentucky does believe that they were the very first company or the very first city in the state of Kentucky to do that. Yep. Which is huge for us. Like me and him, we both live in Dayton. I've got the business, the original clothing store in Dayton, right? So right across the street from the police station. I would be more than willing to open up a cannabis dispensary right there. Call it pigs in a blanket. Let's roll. You know what I mean? But like right across the street from the police station. But so if we want to do something like that, like if Dayton, Kentucky is one of the first ones on the ballot to ask for not only dispensaries but like grow ops, right? Because that Ben Baker's dope, bro. Like he's got when it comes,
he absolutely is.
You've got Newport, Bellevue, Dayton, and then you got the big wind of the river. So you have this big like bubble right in the back part of Dayton that's nothing but like industrial. It's nothing but old buildings that used to do like metal work or other things like that they could just ship through the Ohio River and drop it out. So there's a ton of like 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 square foot complexes out there that have availability, right? So what you were saying earlier, I know you pulled out a little paper that had like the square footage and how much you're able to do, right? Is that in Kentucky or was that in Ohio?
That's a Kentucky.
Okay, so let us know about Kentucky. So if they want to do a grow op, they can do in under 2,500 square feet. Is that what we saw?
Yeah. So right now Kentucky is accepting applications for cultivation and processing and maybe dispensaries, but cultivation means growing it. Processing means making it into the flower, into the other things, and then the dispensary is growing it. And so they're accepting applications for you to become a grower or a processor now. And so the size of the grows, each state, when they legalize it, they say, all right, so we're going to do two types of licenses. A big one and a small one, or just all big ones or all small ones, or like Florida has it where once you get a license to grow it, you can open as many dispensaries as you want. You could open 10,000 dispensaries if you wanted to. That's why there's so many there. And so in Kentucky, people now can apply for the biggest grow is 50,000 square foot.
That's crazy.
And then it's 25,000.
That's an acre. That's like just under an acre.
It's huge. Then it's 25,000. Then it's 10,000. Then it's 2,500. So there's 4 tiers: tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4. All people are all applying for those licenses now. So the small ones are intriguing because those could be accessed by probably somebody that's not a multimillionaire. While the 50,000 square foot would be like somebody that's got probably a multi-state operation, already in the cannabis space in some other state. They're going to acquire those. Because the thing is 50,000 square foot's like bigger than this whole first floor here.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
It's an acre.
Like that's really intense regulation from the state, intense regulation on, testing it for mold and fungus and what if you get all of a sudden, what if your batch got contaminated? You lose everything.
Right.
You have to have deep pockets to come back from that. And so, but the smaller ones are pretty cool, and that really would be probably the best. Like if someone asked me, what's going to be the best cannabis that you can buy in Kentucky in like 1 to 2 years, it's going to be those small grows.
Okay, so
the 2,500 square foot, right? Because that's controlled, man manipulated,
Yeah.
man watered, versus the 50,000. I've seen 25 to 50,000. They got pipes running through the whole warehouse, going to different rooms,
Drip drops, the whole nine.
dripping the nutrients into the plant based on where it's at in its grow phase, what its pH is, what it needs, which is pretty amazing that you can
That is amazing,
autopilot that.
Yeah.
But what about that natural where you just are like loving on it and watering it
Yeah.
and pulling off leaves with your hands,
Yeah.
or like hand trimming the flower? All of that's those small scale, so they call it
Homegrown
that
shit.
craft,
Yeah.
craft flower.
But I mean, even beyond like something like cannabis on like a level of that degree, I'm gonna go on like the highest degree of plants and life that they're creating in real time. Back in April, I went to Disney, took my daughter to Disney, and we had a great time. But one of the rides, they take you in the behind Disney where they grow their own stuff.
That's pretty cool.
And they're not growing cannabis, obviously. They're growing the fruits and vegetables and plants and whatever. But you see the people, like, literally as they're, like you drive through on a boat and, like, you're going
That's
through the
cool.
back end. And, yeah, they have the cool Disney stuff, but, like, you really are seeing everything's labeled and how much they make a year, and they explain it through the speakers. But it's pretty amazing that there's people out there that are taking the level of care that Disney and other companies of the new, like they're growing their own food for their own parks. They're doing that, like, regardless of how you feel about the culture of Disney.
That's
Yes, sir,
amazing.
right. But they're proving their lifestyle of like, hey, we make our own food here, and they are literally having the scientists and the people that are growing it to the max capacity in their own parks, and they're doing just the same level of, care for the actual product. So like when it comes to this level, people are seeing that in some degree, and they're taking that in those next steps for something different. But like there are people out there doing it on just the most basic food level. You know what I mean? Like tomatoes. You're caring about tomatoes like it's your own child. And then all of a sudden that's how we get better at things. You know what I mean? And to that level of Disney of all topics, but they still take it seriously. And then you come down to the level of, the common local growth of cannabis, and they're taking it just as seriously on a different scale. Yeah, for medicinal purposes.
Yes.
But food is a part of medicine as well. They regulate your diet. That may not be the medicine, but that is a part to make the medicine be effective.
For sure.
You know what I mean? So
Agreed.
it comes with the whole territory.
I agree.
Yeah, and it's a big part of it, like eating smarter and eating healthier. Well, when you're taking medicine, what are you using smarter? Maybe you're not the person that needs to go to sleep.
No doubt.
Maybe you're the person that needs to think about something a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe everyone else is doing sleeping, and that's the way it is. But you're like, I can't. I just need to think. Otherwise, I just want to sleep all the time. And then as soon as you put sativa in their brain, they're like, oh, I'm staying awake now. Let's vacuum a little bit, or like clean, or whatever. I mean, I always, anytime sativa would come my way, I would want to clean more. Which I grew up working for a cleaning company, so like I knew what I'm doing in that industry. But it's a relief to like vacuum. And the combine with thinking and doing like a normal thing that would take away stress for me, combining those two worlds, it's kind of interesting.
No doubt.
It's the living experiment, experience.
Yeah.
So take it for so many different ways, and
be happy.
Yeah.
We can be happy that it's legal now in our country.
Yeah.
And that might as well take advantage of
Take
it.
advantage.
It could be one of the best things happening in our country.
yes, it's an everyday. It's an everyday thing that can change the way your everyday goes. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be extreme. It can be simple as CBD. You can open up for that. It's as simple as a small CBD, edible,
Yep.
topical,
Yeah.
whatever, and then all of a sudden,
That's one component of cannabis.
and it goes from there, and then you learn. But you got taking the first step of just like open your mind, like, hey, something else is out there that I haven't experienced, because like a lot of people are out there still hesitant because it's been demonized for so long, and it's kind of in our conversation that we said, we have to joke about it to like get in the conversation. Alcohol is like, hey, you going out this weekend? Yeah, man, I'll see you there. You just assume that they're going to be there. But now it's kind of that, that's the social setting. It's a big part of it, man. And I love having the conversation. So thank you for being here. and it's been
we can't get out of here yet, bro, because the whole Dayton thing. I've got I've got an idea right now.
Oh, okay. Let's hear it.
So I've got a question. I don't know if you can answer it or not, but so 2,500 square feet or less, you can have some sort of grow out. My house in Dayton, Kentucky, is 3,200 square feet.
Oh, okay.
So that's, but it's separated. It's 1,600 square feet of an apartment, and then 1,600 square feet of another apartment.
Yep.
So it's broken down to 3,000 and then 600. So 1,600 up front, 600 in the front, and then 1,000 in the back. So 3,200 square feet total. So would I be able to start a grow op out of Dayton, Kentucky, out of my own place, and then create a dispensary in the storefront while growing the weed in the basement?
So,
because I'm here for it, and bro, if Ben Baker's on this and he was the first one to push it through in the whole state of Kentucky,
right?
Like I'm 100% in on getting an investor in and turning my entire building into a grow op, because it's a perfect location. It's right on the avenue. It's a mile from the levee. This is something that, like, honestly, like when it comes, my hands are like, that's money, right? Like when your hands are like I'm talking about it, my hands are itching, bro. You see that?
Yeah.
I'm like, ooh-wee.
Ooh-wee.
I'm starting to think, bro, because it's one of those things where it's like, I'm like streetwear brand, like we've got the shoes hanging in the back room that shows that like this is the spot, right? Like if you're from the hood, if you're from any of those spots, that if shoes are hanging from the power lines, that's a spot to get pot, right? And so that was one of the reasons why we did it in the back room, because we were working with the Kentucky Botanical Company that you were talking earlier, and we were selling their products out of the back store. And so I was like, bro, that would be super dope. Like, we're selling Kentucky Botanical products, so let's hang the shoes, because in the hood, that's what it means. If you see the shoes hanging from the power lines,
it's the bat signal.
That's where the dope boy is.
The bat signal, man.
Yeah, the bat signal. So it's like, all right. So people see that, and it's only the old heads that notice it. Like, the old heads go back there and they're like, oh shit, he's got some shoes hanging from the ceiling. Like, but to be able to sell stuff out of the back room like that, I'm not saying that we could sell it here in Newport, because Bellevue is one thing, or Newport's one thing, and Dayton's another. But just having that, I'm sitting on a gold mine over there, bro. Like, I bought into this place fucking 20 years ago, like with the hope that Dayton was gonna make some moves, and Ben Baker's over here just like Yosemite Sam in it, bro, with his 6-shooters. He's just plucking everything off the block. So it's like, is there a way? Okay, so let me rephrase this. If you owned my building on 511 6th Avenue in Dayton, Kentucky, right on the avenue, not off the block, it's literally the same street that brings you from Newport to Fort Thomas, would you open up, or could you open up a dispensary and a grow op out of there if you had 3,200 square feet?
So, like, the state would have restrictions on how close, I had mentioned this earlier about how close the place is to a church or a school. So this is like, the first step would be zoning. Like, could it be zoned to be that?
So
that would be the thing. I'd be like basically asking tomorrow, can my building, is it residentially zoned? Could I zone it as a commercial space? It's
commercial. The whole building is commercial.
Commercial. So then the next thing is it feasible to have the grow and the dispensary attached? It can be, but it's not as common. Colorado did it. They do it some, but I'd say most of the time it's like a freestanding, just like the dispensary's like the tap room, right? Like, they don't actually make anything.
I get you. So what you're saying right now is don't grow it at 511 6th Avenue.
Well, you could.
Let somebody grow it in Dayton and let 511 6th Avenue be the catalyst to sell it. Let's
so
go.
That would be the dispensary route would be probably the easiest, because then you're kind of a middleman, like you're not growing it. But if you had a person that was like, I'm ready to do a cannabis cultivation, that is intriguing to consider. And probably, if you ask me which one's more lucrative, it's the growing.
Of course, yeah.
Isn't there like
because once you grow it, once you have a grow license, you then can get the other stuff later, right? Then you get your processing license. Then you get your dispensary. Then you're what they call vertically integrated, and you're made in the shade.
Right.
So isn't there like a agricultural limit you have to do? It's like a $20,000 like thing you have to pay for your level 2 license for agriculture, and on top of that,
there could be some cost with the growing. There is always cost. They take they meaning the government. So like, how does when it's medical cannabis, how does Kentucky government make money? Well, when you buy it from the dispensary, they just tax you municipal sales tax. There is no like medical tax beyond that. So like, if you say, for instance, somebody went to your dispensary in Ludlow and bought cannabis, Ludlow would get the 6% tax. The state wouldn't get anything. So how's the state getting greased here? They get greased by the license fee, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
20 like, to grow it in Ohio, you need to pay them 6 figures a year to grow it.
And don't you also need like a year's worth of farming experience up front to even get qualified for the license?
So Kentucky might have specific rules and regs. The basic ones are that you got money and that you got that zoning. And probably if you have a license to grow hemp in Kentucky already, you're going to get grandfathered in.
For sure, yeah.
But I'd say a dispensary sounds interesting. That'd be the easiest. And what the value of a dispensary is, one, you were mentioning that scratching your palms. You could run it, create a brand, keep expanding. Or you could run it, even ragtag run it for like 1 to 3 years. And then when it's time for adult use recreational, you sell it to a multi-state company for way more than you ever put in on it. And there were people that did that in Cincinnati. They rented out like a small, like a industrial area of Oakley. They rented out one little commercial space that was like in this industrial strip where they had like batting cages and like just random stuff. You would never go there for any other reason.
Right.
They ran that. People hated it. The lines took forever. They were so slow. After 1 year, they sold it to Cresco Sunnyside, which is one of the biggest cannabis companies in America. And that company went in. They acquired all the maximum number of licenses that a person could have, 5 dispensaries. They ran all 5 of them in those cheap little spots, kind of ragtag. They sold 4, kept 1. They still got that 1 now.
Yeah.
Not that it would be ragtag, but meaning it would be like small. It would be boutique. You could run it. If it was a major success, you could just keep going, or then you could flip it.
Okay. So one more question, because it sounds like I'm sitting pretty over here with the business that I have, or the home that I have. So I live upstairs, like I said. Downstairs, Tyrell lives in the back apartment, and then there's a whole storefront in the store in the front that's vacant. It's got all my like sports memorabilia and shit in there, but it's not open to the public, right? So, being able to have something like that in the very first city in the state of Kentucky that's offering this, right? So, if you own my building, and you knew Ben Baker, the mayor of Kentucky, or the mayor of Dayton, who just implemented this whole grow op thing here, and the reason why he did it obviously was because he wanted to be the first on the bill. And there's a bunch of warehouses that are already in Dayton that are vacant. They're sitting down there in this little bubble out there, like where the water just like crests around before you get to Riverbend. So it's like he's incredibly smart with what it is, and like I've been sitting on my building for a while, sitting there, and you know he's asked me, hey, do you want to rent it out? Do you want to rent it out? And I'm like I do, but I want to rent it out to the right person because I still live upstairs. There's a lot of legalities to it. You know what I mean? Like I don't want a bunch of people hanging out in the front of my building when I'm trying to walk my dog.
Yep.
But at the same time, I'm trying to make money, bro. So like the building, I could probably sell the building for like $350,000 right now, but I really feel like this building is in the right part of the right state of Kentucky at the right time of my life, where like, you know, if I had the right business people, if I had somebody on here that really just knew Ben Baker and knew the moves that Dayton was making, that they would be like, yo, this is the prime like spot for it. You know what I mean? And so I'm torn, bro, because I'm 43. I'm at the point where like I'm tired of fighting for my meal. I'm tired of I've got to walk my dog every day. I don't have a backyard. I'm in the middle of the city, so I still have to walk him 2-3 times a day. And it's like I want the backyard. I want the white picket fence. I want, you know what I mean? But like, how do I get there? And is this the do I sell the building outright and just let somebody else run it, or do I hang on to it for 5 years and try to start something like this? Because, you know, Ben Baker's making moves, dude. Like he is such a perfect mayor for a small city like that, because he let me tell you something about Ben, bro. Like 10 years ago, before he was mayor, I would see him walk down the street and he would just pick up trash, put it in his pocket, and when he saw a garbage can, he would throw it away. You know what I mean? Like I physically saw that just driving down the street, and I was like, that's the type of fucking that's my boy, right? And then all of a sudden he was like, I'm running for mayor, and I'm like, fuck yeah, you're running for mayor, bro. You've been cleaning up trash for 10 years. Yeah. You know what I mean? So like when I saw that, when I heard that, I was like, yeah, bro, like it wasn't a ploy. Like this guy loves the city. Like he's picking up trash and putting it in his pocket. And to this day, I do the same thing, because like it's I want to represent the people that represent the city. So whenever I'm walking down the street, if I see trash, I put it in my pocket, and there's a trash can at least 2 to 3 doors down. I can always find a trash can to put it away, right? So, you know, I'm at that point, bro, where like I've got a great piece of property over there, and I don't know what to do with it. It's 3 stories. It's got the clothing store is 600 square feet, gold ceilings. You know, it'd be the perfect spot for a dispensary or something like that. Yeah. You know, where even the back apartment, you know, we can make it where the front room is the waiting room, and then walking through a 7-Up door gets you into the dispensary type shit.
That's the kind of stuff they'd want to see.
Yeah, you know, and that's something that we can physically do here. Like we've already done it here. Yep. You know, we can make it happen there, but it's just like I don't. You know, I'm like I said, bro. I'm 43. Do I double down on the building that I have and wait another 5 years and then sell it, or do I sell it now to somebody that wants to run with it? Like, you know, what in my situation, what would you do if you had the keys to the building with Ben Baker running the ship, saying, "Hey, we're going to be the first in the entire state of Kentucky to do this, bro"?
Yeah, I mean, I'd probably be like, first to see if you really wanted to get in the cannabis space and you're like, that's where I want to lean to, that's the next move, then you would want to see if, one, would they allow your space to be a dispensary?
Okay.
Meaning like the biggest things that they're going to be looking at is security. Like, can you keep tabs of all the entries and exits and got cameras to cover all the spots and whatnot? So you would want to confirm it. If not, then the other thing you could do is you could sell it and find one of those other places that's you might know a little bit more about the market. You have a, you know,
for sure, and then they can critique it to the standards they need.
You can make, but I suspect that what sounds like you could, it's possible that it could be a dispensary. And the next step I'd say would be to basically start getting the paperwork together to apply to be a dispensary, and start in seeing what the rules and regs are, which will be a lot, about what the dispensary has to entail. Is it close to a church or a school? Can we safely see all the exits and entries? All the hoops. And there will be hoops.
For
but
sure.
Again, there's been lots of folks that have done this. They start not in the, a huge, like a new build, like it's an existing space. They just switch it over. And we could talk. I can definitely happy to talk more about it, with you personally if you want.
I think, man, I'm here for it, bro. Because I bought into the building 20 years ago. My dad was the one that said, hey, if you want to start a clothing business, this is where you want to do it. And I was like, I don't want to be a landlord to 3,200 square feet. My dad was like, shut the fuck up. Like, you could literally run your entire clothing store out of the front. You can have your buddy that's hanging out with you all day. At the end of the night, he can go down and sleep in his own apartment.
Yep.
that he's paying rent on now. Instead of sleeping on your couch, he can sleep on his couch, and that pays the mortgage of the entire building. So, like, I'm at the point now, bro, where like I'm just, I'm wise, right? I'm not like 10 years ago, I was the gunslinger. I'm just fucking, yeah, let's do it. But now, like, I want to be more strategic with it, especially when it comes to your home, right? Like, I bought this place 20 years ago for a great deal, and now it's worth a lot of money, but it's like, it could be worth a lot more if I know how to implement it into the process of what Dayton's doing. Yep. So, like, I'm here to try to be a precipient of what Dayton's going through right now. You know what I mean? So I'm here for it. And then especially if we can no jumper this thing, where like we've got the clothing brand and we've got a pot like brand behind it, where it's like the mad scientist crazy eye is like some sort of pot brand that's behind it. Like, I think we'd kill it, bro. We'd murder it.
Absolutely. We've always talked about that. doing like some kind of our own personal. We've talked about candles, man. We've talked about everything. So, I mean, so like that would make sense for the brand, and we could get weird with it, something that's unique on our own. And but I love that we're able to customize now, to be able to the point where you can try things and create it new. And we're at that point, which it's early enough in the process where there is something like, I mean, we've got a lot to discover, but like there is now coming kind of a form of like, you can build a business on branding of cannabis, even though it's already being sold. Like, you might come with a new packaging. It's coming to that point, rather than being the first one to release it. You can come with colorful packaging. You can come with their packaging is Skittles. They package it in so many different ways and make it easy on the consumer. So you can do that with the mad scientist. You could do that with anything. So it just kind of, branding is way humans move, man. They want to get their stamp on things. So even if it comes down to cannabis, it's just like, earlier we had people that had Willy Wonka shirts on, actually. Me and Jay were pointing out, like, the back of the shirts, they had chocolate. They had, like, the Willy Wonka. It was Willy Wonka. Yeah. They were from some school or something, but they all had matching shirts. But the logo was super cool. The whole shirt was made really cool. So someone put their time into that. But we took notice of it. They came in with, like, there was like 15 to 20 of them. But I instantly saw, like, their vibe. They ended up buying something from the lab. But we understood that was their culture. And then you also understand, like, there's another level to it. Like, when we have the Smoke Trees Not Friends shirt, someone always wants to get that. Like, you mentioned the shoes earlier in the podcast. But I just think that being a part of that culture and making it easily digestible and a conversation that we're having with you. And I think this is there's a lot of value here, and a lot of people listened in tonight, and that was
it's awesome.
It was awesome, man. It really was.
As usual.
Yeah, it's been a great experience. I think that you spread so many good gems that the internet's gonna be jumping at that information because they should be.
Cool.
Knowledge is power, man. Knowledge is literally power. That's it. You know or you don't.
No, you
like
don't.
exactly. Like, and whether we've come to the point where we understand a great majority, or we're at the point where we're just scratching the surface. It really doesn't even matter. We know what we know, and we know it's affecting people differently every single day.
Yeah.
So if it's for you, yeah. If it's not,
It's okay
pass. It's very simple. You know what I mean?
No
So that's
doubt.
where I'm at with it.
Yep.
Yeah. It's
I
for you
agree.
or it's not, you know? And it's knowledge is power. So
Yeah.
if anything take from this, like, I'm no expert on
agree
anything.
with
I just, my personal experience in this
Yeah,
this
knowledge
lifetime,
is
you know what I mean?
power.
Yeah. Knowledge is power, man. It really is, because you don't know until you know, and then once you
Especially with
experience
your
it,
health.
it's so real. And
Hey, super shout out to Chelsea for sticking through the entire podcast, man.
Yeah,
this
that's
is
awesome.
this is one of those incredible things, man. We do a the 3-hour podcast. We know it's really long, and we know that a lot of people don't want to tune into a 3-hour podcast. Every time I'm on YouTube, I look for 12 to 15 minute like podcasts, and that's it, or clips. Right? It doesn't have to be, if I'm on a 2-hour thing, it's like, all right, I've got to evaluate my entire day. So for Chelsea to be here the entire time, and she did say, I learned from Dr. Weeks from patients telling me that how great of a doctor he was. So that's a shout out to you, bro,
Yeah,
because
that's
you are,
awesome.
it's one of those things, man, where
Absolutely.
like, a lot of these people, they've been lied to for 20, 30, 40, 50 years, right? And they come to you to go, look, like, I've got, by the way, bro, your back issue that you had, was it right? Come over here.
on the right side.
Come over here.
Yeah.
Was it right here on that side? Like
Other
right,
side.
but it was right there.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Is that shit contagious, bro? Because Kaylin had it 2 weeks ago. Then you came in last week and you're like, I can't move my neck. And then 3 days ago, I had that same pain. I still have it. And like the way I was moving around, I was like, I look like Andrew right now. Like I can tell that it's the exact same pain that you had.
Yeah.
And it's like I don't know.
rough.
Like, how strange is that it's been the exact same.
Yeah.
I'm talking, like, Kaylin pointed it.
Oh, that's interesting.
She's like, is this where it's at? I was like, yeah, it's where it's at.
Yeah.
And that same thing, I'm trying to
right-
grab
it's
you.
on this side.
Yeah, but it's
Right side.
it's right here. It's right underneath that. It's right there on that other side.
Precisely.
Like,
yes.
precisely, like to the
Yeah.
point where you can point it out.
Yeah.
Is that shit contagious? Like, what
I
is
don't know.
going on, bro? Because, like, I haven't been able to move my neck for 3 days. And I've
Yeah.
been meaning to talk to you about it because it's
Oh,
like,
okay.
holy shit, what's going on, man? I can't.
I'm at like a year and a half. I've been feeling it for a while. But cannabis helps. Definitely when you got the body.
It really does, man.
It does. And, yeah, that's definitely rough pain. Before we do get out of here, though, I want to just give a huge shout out to we're having a birthday party.
Big
show.
birthday party.
Yes, sir. Big birthday party on July 26th, which is a Friday night. The artists are crazy, man. It's going to be a great time. Check it out. We're just going to have a great time. There's so many artists. Kevin McCoy's playing. That's going to be a great time. We got some guys that are going to early in their career, and we've got people late in their career, and it's all going to be a multi-genre, just collaboration of all these different musicians, and all my friends.
Let
So
me
it's
tell you.
good.
Let me tell you
It's
something,
good,
bro. Last time I went there, like I went there with Kaylin, which we rarely ever go out. So it's like it's like a fucking moth to I guess not a moth to a flame. Doesn't make any sense, but so we went out there and like when we walked into Madison Live, the bottom floor packed. And Kaylin was like, she was like, "Is this all for Andrew?" I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like, I think there's more people upstairs too. And we go upstairs, and upstairs is even more packed than downstairs. And I got choked up, bro. I swear to God, you weren't around. You were running around doing your thing. And like Kaylin's like, this is all for Andrew. I'm like, fuck yeah, this is all for Andrew. And then I see you just trucking through the crowd, bro, and you're in your Andrew mode where you're just trying to shake hands, kiss babies, and make sure that the music is on and everything's going on. And like when you saw me, you're like, oh
Yeah.
what up, bro?
What's up?
You know what I mean? And so it was such a cool moment to see you in your own atmosphere and how you kill it in the people that you interact with. And I see it all the time, bro. I don't know if I said it on the podcast earlier, but I meant to say it. But like the amount of people that come in here to ask where Andrew is insane. Like even today, like, you know, we were talking about females and stuff earlier, and I didn't want to say anything about it, but bro, like, you got so many girls coming here asking for who you are, like, or where you are. Not who you are, but where you are. I'm like, all right, bro. All right, I get it. I get it. All right,
I appreciate you.
I see.
I just like I have a lot of good friends.
No, bro. You exude something that people want to gravitate towards. Like you have to understand that like you've got this mojo that people gravitate towards. You got the smile and the aura. You got the orange glow that people when like the conversation you had about the Hannaford meeting Joe Burrow's private chef.
Yeah, man, he wants
Like
to come on the podcast.
Well,
actually,
that's one of those things,
Yeah.
bro. Where like there's only a certain type of people that could have handled that situation correctly. Where going from some dude on the street yelling, "Why isn't there anything fucking good in the city?" to you standing next to him at the bar at Hannaford, going, "What do you do?" "Oh, I'm Joe Burrow's private chef."
Yep.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. There's only 3 people out of 100 that would have handled the situation like you did. The other 97 would have been like, "Go fuck it somewhere else." You know what I mean? But there's only 3 people out of 100 that would have been like, "Come here.
Yeah.
Let's go." Like,
Come
what?
join us,
Like, yeah, talk to me.
Yeah.
Let's go. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
You know
it was
what
a
I
Monday
mean?
night. There's not much to do here. He just wasn't.
It's just
Yeah,
it's
but-
one of those things, man, where it's like
Awesome. Thank you. That's awesome. I appreciate that.
You know, I appreciate the people that are around me and you know the things that you do, the ways that you move. It's like it's always impressive, bro. It's always impressive. It's never, you know, when you guys like I was kind of worried when Tyrell was like, "Oh, that's your story to tell," and it's like, "Oh shit, all right, like." Because you were like, "Yo, you just tell them what happened last night," and Tyrell was like, "That's your story to tell." So like, I don't know how to handle the story that I'm about to hear. You know what I mean? But like,
That was good.
When I hear something like that, it's like, fuck yeah, bro. You know what I mean? Like that's the people that the horses that I fucking put my money on are winning the race. You know what I mean? Like that's it sounds condescending listening to it from an outside perspective.
No, I get it.
But like I know how good you are and how good you are outside of native. And you know, if you're roaming in the fields, I know that you're gonna make friends, not enemies. You know what I mean? Like it's hard to find, bro, especially at this day and age, especially with so many opinions, so many factors. Like everyone's got a story to tell. Everyone's got somebody to not approve, but to like upscale. Like I've got a story better than that. You know what I mean? But like you're the type of dude that's just like, this is me. Let's go. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Let's create.
Let's create a native dispensary out of 511 6th Avenue, and let's have that filter into the hat vending machines.
Yeah,
it's here. Ben Baker's here for it,
dude. I'm here for it. Let's do it. I'm here for it. Thank you for the kind words, bro. I appreciate you much.
Always, bro.
Yes,
always,
bro. Appreciate you.
Always, man.
Love you. Appreciate everyone that watches, because like really, no one has to watch anything,
dude.
We're just here on the.
Chelsea's been here the whole time.
She's been here the whole time, and I'm so impressed by her knowledge. She's been with the gems that she's gotten there. When we're gonna read those comments, but she says I started Dr. Weeks. She started following him in a journey a little over a year ago, just like I started following Jay and his T-shirt journey many years ago. So that's awesome.
Yeah, man. And where's he at?
Yeah, it was kind of crazy. She, as you were saying things, she was typing them.
Yeah,
So
bro,
kinda
which is absolutely incredible, man, because that's one of those things where it's like, we don't expect anybody to tune in for a 3-hour podcast. So if anyone took a shower and listened to us, if you were taking a shit and watched us listen to us, like, you're my dog. You're my girl. Let's go. Like, you know what I mean? Like like these are things that like we understand that 3-hour podcast nobody listens to. You got to break them down. You got to break them off in chunks.
But
the things that we do here.
But I want to say on that too. I want to, if you may, like the long gated podcast brings a lot of gems that you can't get in the 15 to 20 minute time.
Of course.
Because if we didn't have these 3 hours with James, we wouldn't get that, because he can condense the basic knowledge that he needs to get out. But we talked about terpenes. We talked about legality. We talked about growth, all in one sitting. You know what I mean? And you can't get that in 12 to 15 minutes. You can get juicy points, and that's what people want in clickbait. You know what I mean? And like instant gratification, and that's what we're at. And that is totally human nature. But to get those instant gratification, you have to do the research long form content. And that's the thing, is that's the education part, is the long form content. Like I have a degree, like a bachelor's degree. It took me 5 years. That's long form content the whole time, because you have to learn the whole time. It's long form. I didn't get the degree overnight. That didn't happen. That's not how that even worked. I just worked for it because I wanted to have a backup plan just in case I needed to go in the music industry on a business standpoint. That's the only reason I got it. I was like, maybe I might have to get in the music industry on a business standpoint. That's why this degree might help me. It was literally my forefront of my mind. Like, I might have to. So like I was prepared for that. I wanted to go into music, and that's what brought me there. But it was long form content the whole time. You know what I mean? And that's what people value ultimately. The quick form is what gets you through the 30-minute break. You know, when you're trying to get through your shift. You have 2 more hours after that. As long as you get through this 30-minute break, jump on TikTok. And you're going to get the long, quick form cannabis information. You're going to get what you need. And in this day, in 1998, this is what happened, or whatever the case may be. But with this kind of, conversation, this is long form. The 3 hours is what is needed for somebody. Because short form content doesn't really sell anybody. It's just something to tell your friends at a party. But someone that comes down to on a strategical, logical level with logistics involved, 3-hour content is where the value is. So that's why I think 3 hours is important rather than short form. So I have no problem going 5 hours. Because I think in 5 hours you can get way more content. And if the AI that we utilize can break it down, I've watched it in real time with Opus. Matt Waters gave me a little
Opus is shit,
dude,
bro.
amazing. But the level of technology mixed with the long form, we can get the short form and have the long form at the same time. Pretty package. We're good. You know what I mean? So you can't tell your story in 15 seconds. Yeah, sure. You need a lot of seconds. You know what I mean? So like, and that's good. That's death to life anyways. But so I appreciate you giving this long form content, because
my pleasure, man.
Yeah, man, seriously.
Really
bro, who was the very first person to check in on Instagram?
Blatsky.
Oh,
Blatsky, the fucking Blatsky.
No, it was
Chelsea.
It was Chelsea Nicole.
Chelsea.
Bro.
She was the first.
She was the first, and she's been here the entire time, man. We've got to get her a T-shirt.
Yes, Chelsea.
She was one of the first on Facebook too.
Hey, all right. So
hopefully she's sounds like she's from Kentucky, so hopefully she'll be taking part in the Kentucky cannabis industry in some form, or maybe she's a part of it now.
Oh, she actually invited you to something earlier. It's something going on in Ohio. Let me see if I can.
Oh yeah, she did. She did say something about that. Chelsea Nicolette, we're gonna make you a personalized T-shirt, something here that we got for you, because we appreciate you tuning in from the very beginning to the very end, bro.
Very end.
That's fire.
That's fire.
You know what I mean? Like, that's something where like we don't expect anybody to sit here for 3 hours listening to the podcast. Like, we expect people pop in and out,
Yep.
every 10, 15 minutes or so, and then catch the clips later on the Opus clips. But
and people pop in and say hi. That's the best part. Is our homies just saying hi. Even we have Nate Nunamaker popping in all the time.
Always, bro.
Huge shout to Farmer Nate, man. Like loves when he pops in. You'll be hearing from me soon, my dude. Like I'm excited to talk to you a little more depth on some things because man, he's out there killing the game, man. Nate is just making moves every day, and I'm so proud of him as an old friend.
Let me tell you something about Nate
Nunamaker,
in Farmer Nate's Hot Sauce. 2 events, same day. He's going to one. He's got his business partners or employees going to the other. That's longevity. That's how you create business.
Yes.
You know what I mean? That's something that we're still not on that level where, we couldn't do 2 events at the same day and run the store. You know what I mean?
We're close. We're close.
I mean, we're not there yet.
Not there. Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's just like one of those things where like you see it from an outside perspective and you're like, bro, all hands on deck.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And everybody that believes, everyone that works for that company believes in that company, and that's how it needs to be.
And I believe in him as well, so he's got the support of many.
Oh, he's killing it, bro.
It's amazing.
Killing it. Did he announce the 900 stores yet, where it's going to be?
I do not fully believe he's announced. He announced some retailer the other day, but he's announcing a retailer every other week. I'll be real, like every time he turns around, he's announcing someone.
900 retailers is huge.
Huge. He is not, to my knowledge.
Do you know where it's at?
No, but I do know some information that I'm not allowed to say. But
it's probably the same.
Okay, yeah. But it's the fact that he is moving so consistently, and he's to the point where
he's playing leapfrog, bro. He's playing leapfrog, and he's not sinking on any of the paths.
I was gonna say the game's the same for everybody, and he's just like, but
He's got teamwork. He's got people to pass the ball to. So
yes.
And
he's got a great product.
Doesn't sink.
He's got a great product.
That 1812,
great
1815
product.
Was incredible.
He makes his own stuff, man. He's out of Covington, which is wild to think that spices can come from Covington of all places in that cityscape. But like he's grown from Covington to have a space that he can grow the stuff. But like Spice Shop from Covington, Kentucky, doing what they're doing, Jungle Gyms. He's in a retailers like crazy. So and he's growing at a massive rate. So he's an old friend. So it's great to see the growth
he's got 900 stores that he just inked a deal with.
That number's astounding.
900.
That number is astounding.
That's not now.
That
now
number is
every store,
astounding.
I would assume would at least carry 18 of each of his product. So 18 times 900. So you're looking at 17,000 fucking pieces of your product sold instantly. Like at wholesale, but still it's out there. You know what I mean? Like, dude, let's go.
Let's go. Shout out to Nate Nunamaker, man.
All right, man. So if anybody wants to try to get a medical card in Kentucky, they can go to you guys, right? You have an office right there off of by Delta Avenue by the precinct.
But then probably by the fourth quarter, we'll have an office in Kentucky as well. Because we'll want an office in Kentucky for once the Kentucky program is up and running.
I mean, people in Kentucky they don't know. Like a lot of people are still like in the dark about what's going on, right? So it's like, can I go to Ohio to get a medical card? I don't even want to go to Ohio. I want to stay in Kentucky to get it, right? So
yeah, so like the Kentucky folks would have to once it's the real program, they'll be able to get their card in Kentucky from us in Kentucky, and then soon thereafter they'll be able to buy it in Kentucky too. And then in the meantime, folks that get the letter or the card will start going over to Ohio once they start selling it, or people have been going to Michigan and that sort of thing. But we'll have a store because people in Kentucky don't want to cross the bridge.
They don't. Nope.
They want to be on this side of the river,
And there's something about Kentucky grown weed or like the Kentucky.
That's exciting to see. What's that going to look like? Like. I
mean, that they make 90% of like the bourbon barrels across the entire world, right? So.
Yeah. I mean, it could be neat. Like if we could be sitting here in 5 years and we can say there's competitions where we're comparing Ohio cannabis to Kentucky cannabis. Like we're not there yet, but.
Right. But I think Kentucky's soil is gonna give a chance, and like the good ground
100%,
that it's on, you know
bro.
what I mean? I think the soil, I think the landscape, tobacco industry is massive in Kentucky.
We have great agriculture, bro. We have like our rain and moisture atmosphere compared to everywhere else in the world is like
makes no sense. Though.
I worked
I
worked the Scott's Lawn Service for 9 years, bro. I know agriculture. I know how to grow shit, right? Like that. Kentucky is such a perfect place to grow anything. You know what I mean? Let alone weed, which Woody Harrelson was talking about fucking 15 years ago, bro. Like Woody Harrelson was growing weed in Southern Kentucky and got busted for it, and he got put in jail for it, or like got.
That's so crazy. I'm so glad where we're at, like where we're at in time, and just being here and this opportunity to see it grow in real time. Pun or intended or not, but I will say I'm gonna be coming to you. I'm gonna get mine. I think get my in Kentucky. I'm excited to meet.
Oh shit! I do have a question before we get out of here. So if somebody in Kentucky has their medical card, can they have a carry and conceal license as well? Because Kentucky is very odd because their gun laws are different from other states, right? So like you don't, if I own guns, I don't have to register it with the law with the state like I do in other states.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So when it comes to having guns and having a medical marijuana license, do the two conflict at all? Do you know?
Yeah. So like where it gets foggy is because cannabis to our federal government is still illegal, and we're just legalizing on the state level. So if you really look at it from that standpoint, you would want to follow probably the federal law. But the reality is that, well, if somebody has a gun that they acquired, they could get it the way they normally get it.
Mm-hmm.
They get their cannabis how they normally get it. Those things aren't crossing. Like the database doesn't cross. Like if you're getting a gun and you're giving them a driver's license, it's not going to ping, bing, bing. They got medical cannabis too. But where the really slippery part is that you want to make sure that if you're activating conceal carry, meaning like I'm taking it like to the native, I'm going to the levee, I'm going to bring my pistol, that you wouldn't want to have any cannabis also. So people can get the license and have both, and they're not crossed like check databases, but they would never really, unless it was at their house, they wouldn't want the two to be together outside of their house.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
Yeah. Just think smart. You're not going to necessarily be drinking and carrying
it's the same with
being
drinking.
Reckless with the weapon. You know what I mean?
That is crazy that you're allowed to be at a bar drinking with a carry and conceal.
You're not.
Oh, you're not? All right.
Because concealed carry, they teach them to not be impaired under the when they're using any weapon.
Gotcha.
So that
beautiful.
So but it's because cannabis, it's hard to prove cannabis's use recently or a couple of days ago.
Right.
That's why you just didn't want to have it on your person. Once they figure out how to test people for it, to be like, hey, you just shot somebody,
and you had it in your
vape,
system 24 hours ago.
If you're intoxicated now,
right,
then they could do it and it would clear everything up. But in the meantime, they can't do that. So the only way they can do it is you got it on your person. And then we did your urine test or your blood, and it's there. So the best thing would be
separate
if
the
you're going somewhere where you need to activate the concealed carry because you don't feel safe, that you just wouldn't want to bring any cannabis with you.
Gotcha.
But that could change over time once the federal law changes.
It will change. It'll all change. It'll all be regulated. Just like everything else. So, all right, man. So if anybody wants to get a medical marijuana card for Kentucky or Ohio, they can go to you guys, right?
Correct. They could come One Heart Medical. We could square them away in Ohio. There are perks of having medical cannabis card, even though it's going adult use. Like, they're going to save 18% on the sales tax if they got medical card, get some higher potency products, skip the line.
That's great.
For the medical
skip the
folks.
line.
That's great.
Huge.
We're calling it like
and a higher potency.
It's like TSA pre-check for cannabis.
You're gonna have a stampede at your store here.
So if you have the medical card, you can get higher potency.
You could get higher potency in certain places in Ohio. Probably be higher potency edibles, and then you'll be able to get that sales tax reduction. Some states shifting and having different regulations based off.
And how much does the medical card cost typically?
Usually it's let's just say a new patient is $150
for a full year.
For the full year to use it, to be legal, to go and buy it, to possess it.
I mean that sounds like a great deal considering $150 up front gives you wholesale pricing on the back end.
And then for folks who don't have education, by us them paying that fee, we also tell them this is the right starting flower, this is the right starting gummy, because most likely they're going to hit the stores and they're going to just start trying stuff and buying it. It's not. Then we heard this a fair amount where people buy something and it's not the right one. They didn't get education.
And that's the thing, man. Is we were talking earlier about the pot. Like, some of it makes you sleepy, some of it makes you hungry, some of it makes you active. Like, it's very like minute on the dosages. Like, it all may look the same, but it all does the complete opposite. It's not like beer where it's gonna get you drunk.
Yeah. You
know what I mean? Like, this one's gonna make you wanna work. This one's gonna make you wanna sleep. This one's gonna make you wanna eat. It's so intricate on the buds that you buy, right? Like every one of them is so different from the next, and you really don't know until you talk to somebody like you or an expert. Like, and that's the good things about like the Las Vegas dispensaries. You walk in and you talk to them and you tell them, hey, like, I get headaches before I go to bed. They're like, this is what you need. No, I can't sleep before I go to bed. This is what you need. Like, I'm losing weight. This is what you need. I'm gaining weight. This is what you need. Like, there's so many options, and the better off. Bro, when I went to Vegas, I was at Planet 13. I think that's what it was called, maybe Planet 19 or something. But I felt like I was in the future of the pot industry. Like, when I walked in, everything was, the gates, they opened up like as you scanned your card, and then you walk through this like floor where every time you stepped, a little fake koi fish would run away. And then you walked into the building and you had all this different pot. You had Tyson's pot. You had, Gary Payton weed. You had all this stuff. And then you had just people walking up to you, and I'm filming, right? And I had a guy come up to me and he was like, what can I help you with? And it's like, instead of most of the time, at least 4 or 5 years ago, you turn the phone off. Got to turn it off. You can't film this. Now this guy's going, what can I help you with? And it's like, I get headaches all the time. Left eye, headaches right here. He's like, this is what you need. It's like, that's the type of medical like influence that we need. You know what I mean? Somebody that knows the back end, that says, hey, this is going to be good for this is going to be good for that. Because even though it looks like the same nug across the board, they do completely different things. You know what I mean? Hungry, one thing. Thirsty, one thing. You know what I mean? Like, it'll give you cotton mouth if you want to have cotton mouth. Like, if you want to think more, there's another pot that'll make you think more. And it's like nothing like that. Like beer's not like that. You can't drink a Sam Adams to make you smarter.
Yeah.
You can't drink a Yingling to make you think more philosophy. Like you know what I mean? Like there's nothing on the spectrum like weed that puts you in a different aspect every time. And that's almost what I love about buying it is like I don't know what the next batch is going to be. Is it going to make me hungry? Is it going to make me thirsty? Is it going to make me like wanna be better at what I do? You know what I mean?
I mean, I think, but as our education gets better on it, knowing what's your go-to, because like right now you never know because someone's giving you something that you don't have we're able to like trim the fat, I guess you could say.
We're in the prohibition of the marijuana industry.
Yes, we're in the prohibition of the marijuana industry. That is that's perfect.
Yeah,
that's a great way.
And it really is. So we're just learning right now on what
infancy
it can do.
stage, you know.
And people that are 50 and 60, like they've been lied to, just like I've been lied to. You know, I'm 43 and I was forced into taking pot and as an alternative to a $350 pill, right? So like I was forced into the industry where I was like, okay, let's see if this works, and it did. And now we're at the point where okay, so now like I physically saw that it does work. And so how do we tell other people that it does work without having them have that stipulation of it's a gateway drug, it's marijuana, it's just going to lead to other things? Like it's not. Like it was this whole reefer madness bullshit back in the day to change the industry from paper to hemp. Like it was such a stupid.
It's become an ally.
It really has.
Yeah, it's become an ally. So, with that being said, you can get this education. Is there anywhere online that you can get the education, maybe videos or anything that you, outside of this podcast, that people can find your information? James?
Yeah, the website has some blog stuff, and oneheartmedical.com has some blogs. We got some links to some websites.
Cool.
And then,
brand new website up. I saw it. It was fucking fire,
That's
bro.
sick. Yeah.
Yeah, like on all the designs and everything that you've got, like your graphic designer that was involved in it, it makes everything so symmetrical. Like
Nice.
everything about it is like as you scroll through, you're like, I want to click on this. I want to click on that.
Yeah.
I want to click on
Easy
this.
to navigate.
Oh, it was everything
awesome.
it was so well put together, bro.
Because it is
So-
knowledge is power, so people have to find the information somewhere. There's a lot of information they're going to get tonight that's going to be confusing, but they're going to learn over time. But they can always reference this as they're, in their journey and whatever, at what point they're at, because everyone's there at just different points, whether you've started at all or you're, a veteran user. You know what I mean? So
yeah, we're all just like learning as we go
Yeah.
here, and so I appreciate you guys for inviting me. And like Jay, it's because it's just like an evolution from like 2019 when we first did the podcast to like 2020.
It's crazy, bro.
To 2024, and then we'll probably do one again in a year or two, and then it'll be even more evolved.
yeah,
And then it'll be, who knows even what might be going on then, and so
Right.
and then where the store will be looking at, like. And
Look, man,
I'm here.
I'm 100% in on One Heart Medical Native taking over something in Dayton
Exactly.
where we can run the show right there, whether it be because now that Ohio is going recreational, are you worried about the sales of doing like medical, yeah, and there's something that where you want to try to break into Kentucky because now
That's
Ohio's
probably why. Yeah, I mean that's
100%, bro.
That's a natural shift. But
let's do it, bro.
But also recognizing that if we do think this is medicine, that there should always be somewhere you could go to talk about it as a medicine, regardless if it's recreational. Like
It's 100% a medicine,
It's
dude.
an overlap. And so, so I'm happy to be here, and I never would have imagined that, when I went to med school, that this is where I'll be right now. And
Yeah.
that's amazing.
That is amazing. It is amazing, man. It's they say like the whole like on the end of like the like real doctor or this a doctor or this a doctor or whatever status quo you're at and trying to make in this real career in general, because for the longest time with music and this, they're like that's not a real. But
that's not a real.
It's not a
I've
real.
heard that so many times.
Exactly. But what is real is the effect that you have on people. You know what I mean? That's the real,
Yeah.
regardless of what society says isn't real or it's not.
Yeah.
And I deal with the same thing. Traditional, whatever terminology you want to use. I'm here in the same framework and just at a different grind, different journey. You know, one consciousness was people.
Yeah.
But like, that's the thing is what's real, and what is your perception to what is real? Because some people think. There's people out here writing music every single day. You don't know they're sitting in a bedroom randomly and they're collecting paychecks and they're not going to any office. And there's other people that are just out offices every single day and doing meetings that way. So like, what's real? What's not?
What's real?
Exactly.
There's
So
no doubt.
in the same different industry, same kind of a conversation, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
So, but I definitely appreciate you taking your time to educate people, man. Education is awesome. Yeah, let's do it. But yeah, I appreciate you educating the public. They need to hear this.
Yeah,
And
keep going.
yeah, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you guys too.
Thank you, man.
Appreciate it.
Dude, I really appreciate you, man. So if anybody wants to get a Kentucky medical card or an Ohio medical card, oneheartmedical.com. They can get all the info on there.
Basically, call the office.
You've got an office right there on Delta Avenue, right there by the precinct.
Yeah, and then for Kentucky, we seemingly keep going around like the Buttermilk Pike, Thomas More Parkway area. It's where we've been, like for the office space.
For sure.
Somewhere around there, probably. Not sure for sure, but
That's a good spot, man. That's
make a move. That's cool.
That's where all the
doctors' offices.
all the doctors are.
And
Yes.
they're there for a reason, so we should be there too.
That TGI Fridays. I know. I was just
It's
at.
cool to be in Kentucky too.
I was just at my buddy's wedding on Friday. So his dad used to own the TGI Fridays over there in right off the exit. Fort Mid.
It's like Fort Wright. Fort
whatever
Mitchell.
it was. But that was number one TGI Fridays in the nation,
Wow.
bro. That beat out the TGI Fridays in Times Square.
Oh man.
Because of all the companies, all the doctors' offices that would buy from that place. Yeah.
Yeah, all big pharma getting that.
What's going on?
I think the live stream is. Yeah.
All right, man. I think it's gonna wrap up another episode of the PowWow.
Sweet.
I am about to piss myself. And
We out here.
Yeah, I'm about to go to bed.
Yes,
sir. Yeah,
Appreciate
we're out of
y'all.
here. So if you guys want to get a hold of One Heart Medical, we'll leave some documents below, or
Yes.
contact us, and
We're
we're gonna
gonna
get you
work
the
on
medical
some stuff.
card.
Yes.
Yeah, we're gonna work on this, man.
Yes, man.
All right,
Thanks,
this is
guys.
gonna wrap up another episode of the PowWow.
We out.
It's your boy Jay Bangs,
AI,
AI,
let's go.
Tyrell,
Let's go.
Terrell, all in the building. Let's
Hey,
go.
We out here. We
Love you guys. Yes, sir.
Peace.